Okay, then let's see if it is wants to work this time. Maybe. Come on. Okay, now it's working this time. God. All right. So what do I have? One more time. What did I write? Oh yeah, Trump gaslighting people again. Us right before January 6th because Trump's lost his goddamn mind again. I don't know why no one's taken his phone from him yet. I keep telling people got to take his phone from him because he just won't shut the fuck up, and it's hurting him. And he did it. He did it again, and well, it's over. Trump can't. Hey, Alchemist, what's going on? Trump, I gotta go over this. Trump's done, man. After the January 6th hearing, which was it was political theater. It was just nonsense. But seeing as how Trump went on Truth Social and tried the same gaslighting he did on J6 again. Oh man, Trump's done. GLP's got nothing. They got? Trump, who's just too unpopular at this point, and then they got DeSantis, and DeSantis is just a trash candidate. He's not a candidate for conservatives. He's a candidate for angry white people, if we're being completely honest, because he doesn't offer anything to conservatives in general. It's mostly towards angry, white, ignorant conservatives, and that's not going to win you anything. I don't know, maybe because Biden is just so trash, but I don't know, because Dems don't got anyone either. All they got, their Trump card is Big Michael Obama. That's all they got. After that, they got nothing. Both sides are just maybe libertarians can get their shit together, but every time, I swear, the libertarians, I still hold to that conspiracy that on the federal level the Libertarian Party are plants, because every time you look at the federal libertarians running, they're all really, really dumb, and whenever you look at the local and state libertarians candidates, they are really intelligent and they know what they're talking about, and I'm like, something doesn't add up here. I think they're just trying to sabotage libertarians. Here we go. Trump goes on offensive ahead of the Capitol riot hearing. And I'll get to that. Although there wasn't that much to say. There was some stuff leading up to it. I don't know if anyone else was watching any other commentators like on the right about January 6th before this hearing happened. Dude, conservatives, God, I was online getting the smoke from some people. Conservatives are just loudmouth pussies, man. They keep saying they're gonna do shit. They ain't gonna do shit. Maybe I'll go over that. Where is it? Okay, where is it? Okay, here we go. This is what Trump posted on Truth Social. I don't have Truth Social because I think the app's only on iPhones right now. I don't have an iPhone because I'm not paying more money for old hardware. That's stupid. But what he put was, he continued the lie of the rigged and stolen election, which I don't know why you're doing that, because all that does is tell people on the right not to vote. The logical people on the right who think it's been stolen are not going to vote because they're going to be like, screw it. And then what? Then you got the other people who don't even believe in it anyway. Also, if it was stolen, then why did Trump step down after it was over? He doesn't believe what he's saying. His ego is too big. That was my main issue with him. His ego was way too big to admit he did anything wrong ever, and he will hold that position even if it ends up screwing him, royally screwing him. But he said the Unselect Committee didn't spend 1 minute studying the reason that people went to Washington, D.C. in massive numbers, far greater than the fake news media is willing to report, or that the Unselects are willing to even mention, because January 6th was simply not a protest. Well, that part's true. Trump wrote on Thursday morning, it represented the greatest movement in the history of our country to make America great again. Oh, Lord. It was about an election that was rigged and stolen and a country that was about to go to hell. And look at the country now. This was the gaslighting he did before January 6th that led to it. This is why I said Trump contributed to it. He's not innocent. The right likes to pull out all those little clips of him going, well, go, but be peaceful. And they left all the other clips of him, talking about how the Democrats are stealing the election and stealing your country and all this stuff. And I'm like, if somebody's hostile, if there's a hostile takeover of your country, how are you going to respond? Because if they're rigging the election, that's what's happening. So how do you think they're going to respond? They think going to the Capitol and screaming and crying would stop that? No, that's gaslighting. And now, before the hearings, he does it again. And he makes it worse this time. Because he admits it's more than a protest. And he left that ambiguous. And I think he did that on purpose. Now, saying it represented the greatest movement in the history of this country. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's Trump. So everything's the greatest of all time. But is this not going to get stupid people to get riled up again? That's exactly what this is going to do. Imagine if Trump runs in 2024, which I don't think he would. That's a really hard call because he's really unpopular still. He's been digging a hole for himself. But Biden's also horrible. I don't know what's going on. As DeSantis, he ain't got it. I'm sorry, he ain't got it. So I don't know what's going to happen. But if Trump loses again, I wouldn't be surprised if someone did some stupid shit again when he's saying stuff like this. Because he's continually telling these ignorants, these white ignorants, because that's who is doing this, because that's who's falling for this gaslighting, because I ain't seen no black people there. It's them who are the ones who are going in here and apparently and smearing poop on the walls of the Capitol. Because apparently that's how you save the country from tyranny. You smear poop on the wall. What was that? Was it a Proud Boy doing that? I think it was. I have to look again. Apparently that's how the right fights for the country. But yeah, I don't see, like, you think, and I can tell a lot of the people who got out on like probation or something from J6, they realized the lie and realized once they got put in prison, no one was coming to help them. Where was Trump? Trump didn't come save you. He gaslit you into doing this stupid shit. And then he left you there. He left you there in prison. He didn't fight for you. He didn't do shit for you. Okay, so maybe this can wake some people up to this bullshit gaslighting that I'm sick of seeing, that these ignorants then repeat, and then that causes shit like this to happen. Especially, I love all the footage that we've been seeing leading up to the hearings and during the hearings. And I know the right is still going to say it was just an unruly protest. Because I was talking to some of these ignorants. I was getting the smoke online because all of them are seeing this and they're already saying, of course, they were Tim Pool fans, so I'm not surprised. They're talking about getting prepped for the Civil War. And I'm like, y'all ain't going to do shit. Shut up. You fucking loudmouth fucking conservatives. You're not going to do anything. By saying, they do the stuff like, they're not taking my guns. You going to shoot at police? Because you can't be back the blue and then say, I ain't going to take my guns. Because guess what's going to happen when they come for your guns? It ain't going to be Biden coming down there for it. It ain't going to be him. It's going to be the police. So are you willing to take shots at police? Because if you're not, shut up. You're not going to do anything. Shut the fuck up. I don't care. And I'm sick of these tough guys, bro. These conservative tough guys talking like, I saw a comment that was funny. Maybe I don't know if I can find it. I think it was on, was it a Tim Pool video? People talking about prepping themselves. What was it? Prepping themselves mentally and physically for the coming conflict. And I'm like, yo, when you say things like that, I'm gonna look at your profile. And of course, what do I see? Fucking like 40 pounds overweight. And when they refer to physical, they immediately jump to a gun. And I'm like, see, when you do that, like anybody who says that, who looks like that and then says they're going to their gun, I'm gonna refer to you as she, her pronouns, and I'm gonna refer to you as a woman. All right, because that's feminine energy. Now it's fine if you are a woman, because if you're talking shit and a bigger dude's like imposing upon you, yeah, you're gonna need your gun, protect yourself. If you're one of these loudmouth, stupid ass conservatives that like talking shit, and when someone tries to check you, you try to go, I have a gun on me, I'm gonna assume you're a woman. I will refer to you as a woman, and I'm gonna treat you as if you're transgender, which is okay. That's very good that the conservatives are very open to the transgender movement and they're allowing them in. That's great. But I'm gonna assume that's what you are. Because no man fucking does that. No man does that shit. Looking like 40 pounds overweight, talking shit, and then when anyone says anything, goes, I got my gun on me. Yeah, that's feminine energy. So I will continue to refer to you as a woman. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's what you are. Or alphabet, like I said, you could be alphabet. The right's very accepting of the trans and the alphabet now, which is okay. That's fine for them. As long as it stays within white conservatism, it's okay. I think it's great. Oh, Lord. God, fuck. What was it? Does it have... Oh, I guess this was before. Okay. So what was the next one? Where is it? Hold up. Let me close that one. So I'm seeing this going around, and I see... Oh, no, not that one. The right just losing their mind over this, and I don't know why. Why is the right just like screeching about this? I'm going to use Fox News on purpose. I see this clip going around on The View, and everyone's mad for some reason. Why? Gun laws will only change once black people get guns in this country. Yeah, it's worded a bit weird, but she's not wrong. That's basically been American history. When black people start exercising their Second Amendment rights, that's when gun control often shows up. Right? Everyone acknowledges this. Well, at least everyone who knows their shit. Because I'm seeing like white conservatives trying to like debunk this, and they're just saying like lots of black people have guns. I'm like, yeah, but it's when they exercise it. That's the problem. That's when people start getting uncomfortable, right? It's the same people who were whining at the Capitol. I remember before J6 when they were whining, why can't we bring our guns to peacefully protest at the Capitol? And I'm like, because niggas did it. That's why. Because as soon as they did it, as soon as Black Panthers did it, when they did the Capitol and in California, as soon as they did it, gun control showed up with the quickness. So I don't get what Joy Behar said was wrong. The way she phrased it was kind of bad. When she said once black people get guns, I would have phrased it was once black people exercise their right to have guns. Right? They show up, bearing arms. Like they show up with their concealed carry or open carry. That's when laws start to change. That's when all of a sudden we need gun control. Right? Let me just look at this, because this is stupid. Why'd you go over there? Stop it. Okay, go.
The Republican Party already has said, many of them, that taking those AR-15s off the market is a no starter. I mean, it's all about the guns, all right?
Can I just say this real quick as a gun owner?
Although that's already retarded, that it's all about the guns. It's not about it.
There are people in this country that genuinely own guns and just do so for the same reason that we all sit up.
An AR-15?
No, let me tell you. Okay, let me give you a story. There's a man in Connecticut that watched his neighbor have a home invasion and watched their whole family get killed. He built his own AR-15 because Connecticut won't let you buy them, but you can abide by rules that allow you to build them. And then he has one in his house to protect his family because he never wants to see that happen again. He is a black man. It's odd. Most AR-15 owners are former military, 35 plus and married. So that's all I'm saying is that they're not these crazy people.
Here's the thing. Once black people get guns in this country, the gun laws will change. Trust me.
See, that was weird because it just seems like, why did she say that right there? Like, that was just kind of a weird time to say it, but she was not wrong. I just, like, again, I said, it's not a matter of get, it's a matter of exercise. That's when there's a problem. That tends to be when things start to change. Right? I know. No, I agree with you. She's a clown. I think she's a moron when it comes to guns. I honestly think she's just spewing vomit from her mouth, and then occasionally one right word, like one right phrase, eventually will come out. You know what I mean? Because this is the same person in Micaiah Bryant who tried to suggest you should fire your gun in the air to startle within city limits. Because apparently the bullet just disappears in the air. Like, she's retarded. I'm just saying, all the things to get on her about. Why this? Because historically that's true.
That's what happened with the Black Panther. Black people have that. That's what happened with the Black Panther.
Yeah, see, she even brings it up. That's what happened to Black Panthers. They exercised the right to bear arms, and then all of a sudden, like in California, Reagan showed up with the Mulford Act, like right away, because bearing arms is fine with the right until Black people start openly bearing arms. Then it starts to make them nervous. Not just the right too. I mean the left too. They don't like it either. Because if one of these like white liberals see you bearing arms, they're gonna just think you're some sort of gangbanger. Black women bought a lot of guns in the last 2 years. Her paymasters are the ones pushing gun control. No, I agree. I don't doubt that. I know, but it's the same idea, right? It's like you had all these Black people having guns before, but when it had to come to the point where they had to openly exercise it, then laws started to change. Because then it started making people nervous. Right? Even though guns were really necessary in Black communities, especially in the 60s, when you had like 50s and 60s, where you had a lot of white supremacist gangs or police coming in and brutalizing people. And the state was allowing this to happen. The state was participating in it and allowing it to happen. So had to start, you got to start protecting yourself. Oh, really? Why do you want gun control? I'm one of those cynical people. I'm hardcore into it, but sometimes, like, when I see a lot of these shit talking conservatives that are like fat and out of shape, and then if you say anything, they try to mention their gun. I'm like, you know what? Maybe you should have to know some sort of hand-to-hand martial art for men to get a gun. I don't know. The cynical part of me wants to go, okay, maybe some gun control for those people. But that's just because I don't like people who do that. I don't think responsible gun owners go around having to flex that they have a gun all the time. I think those are people who want to actually shoot somebody a lot of times.
Right, but Black people have been buying guns. The numbers went up in 2020. The numbers went up during the pandemic.
Okay, I don't really care about the rest of what Fox has to say. I wonder what the comments are, because this is Fox News. I kind of chose Fox for a reason. Because I know the left doesn't give a shit about this. I'm more interested in whatever the opposition has to say. Or not opposition, but the side that agrees, more so agrees / disagrees. It's hard to explain what I mean. I wonder what it said. Let's see. Actually, let me refresh it real quick because I've had this open for a minute. I'm curious. What are the Fox News comments? I'm sure they will be educated and insightful. Okay. What? If you control guns, you will require law enforcement to encounter the citizenry a bit more and thus lead to more fuckery. I've always been like, yo, if the police know in a neighborhood where, like, historically they may have brutalized people, if they know everyone in that neighborhood is strapped, I think they're going to be on their best fucking behavior. Because we've seen they don't like dealing with other people who have guns. We've seen with Uvalde, they're bitches. They don't like people who can fight back. right? Although if you do fight back, you know the media is going to vilify you, even if you're in the right, as we saw with Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who did nothing wrong. He did what any reasonable person would do if someone tried to come in your house unannounced. And luckily, it worked out for him that he was in the right. Because I did not think he was going to get out of that, to be honest. Even though I'm like, they were trying to push that lie that like they announced themselves when it was like they had one witness out of 12, and then that one witness recanted that later, or redacted that. That was like, I'm like, no, bro. Fox News watchers don't want black people owning guns. We'll put aside their racism just to clown the liberals. I know, right? The only black faces they want to see having guns are like police, because those are the only time they're gonna feel somewhat secure. Let's see. I would love to watch these smooth brain hosts explain the difference between AR-15 so want to ban a Glock 19. Yeah, they don't know the difference between any of these. I've seen some of these dumbasses talking about gun control, saying like hunting rifles or using weapons for hunting is okay, but you don't need anything for self-defense. And if you have to, just use stuff that you use for hunting. And I'm like, I don't think you want to shoot a human with the calibers you use for hunting. Because they don't know that those are way bigger. What you use for killing buck is way bigger than what you would use on a person. But they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's why I said it's still like gun laws in California don't make any fucking sense. Like if I want to be conscious, if someone for whatever reason broke into the apartment and I want to be conscious of the people around me, I would not be loading like 9 FMJ, right? I wouldn't be using that, because if I shot somebody with that, it could go through them and then through a wall and hit somebody else. Preferably, I would want to use hollow points. In California, if I shot someone with a hollow point in self-defense, I can still get in trouble because hollow points are more deadly to people, which is retarded. So essentially, I can use a more dangerous round and hope like hell I don't hit anybody else. Or I could use a safer round that's safer for the innocent people around me, not as safe for the person who's going to get shot. I will get in trouble. That's weird. So it's like you're encouraging me to take a gamble, which is stupid. But they don't think about this because the people who want gun control don't know anything about guns. Trust me, they already have them, which is precisely why laws don't change. Even if they do, it won't matter because I'm not giving mine up. Bitch, shut up. If the police showed up and said, give me your guns, you wouldn't do shit. I'm sick of those conservatives that are like, they won't take it from me. Yes, they will. As soon as the blue shows up and goes, yo, hand it over, you can be like, okay. You're not gonna fight the cops. You back the blue types, you ain't gonna fight the cops for your guns. Shut up. You fat fucks, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do shit. Shut up. And also, if you want to, I'm assuming when you say trust me, they already do, which is why the laws won't change. If you're referring to illegal gun ownership, the strictest gun control is in the States, again, with a lot of black people. Which and the stupid thing is, and I was bringing this up with, I think it was Escape from the Echo Chamber. I brought this up with him. I was like, yo, this gun control shit doesn't even work anyway. Because where I grew up, I was like, people don't know in LA how easy it is to get your hands on basically almost anything you want. It is insanely easy. Exactly. Yeah, they like the taste of the boot. They ain't gonna do shit. That's what I was talking to the other person about. And they're saying, get all ready for the Civil War. I'm like, what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? The government is all in the hands of the Democrats. It would be them coming after you, I'm assuming, using the power of the state. You going to fight the state? You ain't going to fight the state. You ain't going to do shit. Y'all love the state. Y'all were mad because people were protesting the state killing people. I'm sorry, killing black people, because you didn't care when they killed white people. Because when the state went around brutalizing white citizens, y'all never talked about it. You just seem to care when the state would brutalize black citizens. So it seems like you're perfectly okay with the state doing whatever the fuck they want to you. Y'all ain't tough guys. Stop it. Because you know why? The real tough guys, anybody who's lived in a city knows all the real tough guys don't go around talking shit. The real tough guys are quiet. They're nice, all right? They're not the ones screaming, get ready for a fight. They're just minding the damn business. I saw a video on the violence in Montreal. The goons and ninjas are 3D printing guns. Yeah, you can't stop it. Even I know how to do... Well, actually, I did 3D printing professionally, so I know how to do that, but I don't do it. I don't have the resources personally to 3D print a gun, but I know how to do it. I do have a 3D printer, though, but it's for making toys. I use it to make toys. Let's see, what other trash can we find on Fox News? AR-15 semi-automatic weapon, like most rifles. It's made to look like a military-style rifle, but it's not. Yeah, it's not an automatic weapon, we know. This isn't addressing what she said. When is someone going to propose taking the guns away from felons and gangs with stiff penalties for possession and major sentencing for using a weapon in a crime? We already do that. What the fuck are you talking about? I like how you jumped to gangs too, even though she said, black people, but whatever. I'm like, bruh, shut up. Those are the strictest gun control areas. What the fuck? You get somebody who goes to jail. Listen, this is a true story. I'm not gonna name fucking names, okay? Because I'm not gonna get too detailed into it. Yo, people make enemies on the street, right? They eventually go to jail. They gotta go to jail. It could be a violent felony. It could not. They get back out. They want to get their life together, right? They still got enemies on the streets. They gotta protect themselves. You can't just throw them out there in an area where they got enemies looking for them without a gun. So they get a gun illegally because it's the only way they can do it. And then guess what? They get pulled over and they get 20 to 25 years for felony gun possession. This already happens. What the fuck are y'all talking about? God damn, I'm sick of y'all. I'm sick of you people acting like this shit doesn't happen. Niggas been telling you this shit's been happening. Y'all just don't listen till it affects you. The Tim Pool Civil War LARPers are the worst. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier when I came across one saying to get physically and mentally ready and shit. And they were like 40 pounds overweight. And I was like, what the fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do? You can't even fucking run a mile. You think you're gonna fucking do shit? All these people who say, oh, get ready for the fucking Civil War, get ready, and they're all loud. They're not going to do anything. They're going to be the first to submit to the state. Because guess what? When it came to COVID, their COVID tyranny and their vaccine tyranny, they caved real quick. As soon as they said, my job requires it. Then all of a sudden, they dropped to their fucking knees real quick and said, well, I need my job. I thought this was tyranny. Why are you complying then? Right? If I think something is wrong and tyrannical and overstepping, I don't do it. I don't listen. You know what happened when Newsom locked shit down? I just went and did my thing. I had time off from work. I went to the beach. I went hiking. I didn't give a fuck. Right? It was like, if they try to arrest me for what? I'm going to sue the city. Y'all couldn't even handle that. And you all want to talk about you're going to fight the state? You ain't going to do shit. Shut up. Especially these fat fuck conservatives, man. But like I say, you see the fit, swole conservatives, they're not the ones talking about, oh no, get ready for a fight. They're just ones that are just handling their business, right? In case anything pops off, they got an extra strategy, but they're not the ones screaming and hollering how they're looking forward to fighting the left or fighting the state. They're not the ones doing that. It's all these fat fucks who couldn't do anything if someone caught them by themselves. And this is why sometimes to a point I might go, okay, if you're a man, maybe, I'm being cynical, but maybe you should have to know a martial art to have a gun if you're a man. Have you followed the story, the DA recall? And oh yeah, in the Bay Area, crime gone through the roof. Breonna Joy Gray was flamed, calling it propaganda. I did hear about that. I'm not familiar with the Bay Area that much. I haven't been there since I was like really young though. So I don't really remember that much. I'm not a get the police off the street type libertarian. I'm just saying they need to be put into positions where they're held responsible and they shouldn't be sent to places where they don't belong. Right? Where we're defund the police. Right? Originally it was about not sending police to where they don't belong, which is like, oh no, someone's having a mental health crisis. Send dudes with guns who have no clue about mental health. This is how Angelo Quinto got killed. Right? He died from that because these idiot cops didn't know what to do and they choked him out by putting a knee on his neck. That totally safe procedure that the right always claims is totally safe. They murdered him. Right? Christian Hall, another example of a mental health crisis. Now, he had a gun. The argument was send a counselor with the police. So you have someone who knows mental health. Take the shit libs took control of that because they thought, defund the police, that seems like a popular position. And they all one-upped each other to abolish the police. And then they misconstrued it, or not misconstrued. They didn't care. They never tried to understand. They turned it into take police off the street. And it was like, it was about police reform. So I'm not, because like I see these dudes like robbing people and stuff. And when I do see those, I'm like, yeah, I'm not okay with letting that shit go. Although I wish people did. I wish this would encourage people to take control of their own lives more instead of relying on the state. So I think in a way, it's a wake up call, but for some, it's not. The PD in Michigan County will only respond to life-threatening situations due to gas prices. Yo, word? Is that true? I support that since it'll lessen the load on PD into real life-threatening situations. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we send police on stuff that they have no business being on. There's a dog on the loose. Get the police, because we can't get animal control right now. What district was he in? There was a cop talking about that. They're like, yo, we get called to deal with dogs. We're not equipped to deal with dogs. Right? That was the argument of this over-reliance on police for everything. Because I'm like, yo, they even get called for stuff they can't do anything about. Oh, someone stole my car. Okay. We can look out for it, but what do you want us to do? Why do you need us to come down there? Do you have any evidence, any recordings, anything that shows something that could have happened? No? Okay, well, give them the license plate and all they can do is look for it. Why are you calling them to come down here? Because that's happened here in this apartment building before. I'm like, what are they going to do? They're not going to do anything. So I think that's fair. Now, what they deem as life-saving might be questionable. We need to check what neighborhood it's in first. Oh, shit. What other... What? Oh, wow. I thought that was about to be some ignorant shit, and then it turned out not to be. When can we start profiling again? I don't mean racially. We shouldn't even look at the race. Tattoos are way better. That's what I was saying in my Clavin video. I was saying that in my Andrew Clavin video because he was arguing for racial profiling because he's like, well, black people are more likely to attack the police, so they should be more cautious. And I was like, don't you think there's a difference between like a black dude in an Audi wearing a suit and the dude in a shitty hoopty fucking with tats all over him, wearing colors in a certain neighborhood? Don't you think that might be a better indicator of who's going to get violent with you rather than their race alone? Like if you saw a black dude covered in tats dressed in colors and you saw, like a white dude covered in tats with the leather jacket and everything on, you're going to go, I'm going to be harsher with the black dude because he's more likely to commit violence against me. I'm like, shouldn't we look at more than just their race? Because that sounds like, I said, anti-black racism. Sounds like you're taking a subsection of a group and applying it to the whole group. And this is why we get these racist-ass cops who go after law-abiding black citizens, treating them like they're some kind of fucking gangbanger that just, committed some kind of violent crime. Why is the J6 hearing in the middle of the night? Primetime entertainment is my guess. I had that question too. I was wondering that as well. I just said I think it's primetime entertainment primarily. Because all J6 was political theater. There was nothing substantial that came for that. They even brought the crying white woman on, and I was like, oh shit, once they get the white woman tears, it's done. Those white woman tears are dangerous weapons. There have been wars fought over that, so the Dems know what they're doing. But I remember watching that, and I was like, because she was wrestling over there was a bike rack, and she got hit in the head. And my question was, why was there a woman in the Capitol Police at the front of that? Why was there a woman there? What is she gonna do? I'm sorry, I'm not for like women being street cops. I don't say what you will. I don't lefties will call me sexist. I'm like, no, I would ban women from being beat cops or street cops or any kind that would involve any sort of physical conflict. It's not because you're not gonna do anything. That's why I'm questioning. I'm just seeing this tiny blonde woman. I'm like, why was she there? It reminds me of. Hold up. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. It's like literally this joke. Here it is. Hold up. Let me pull it up. Because I was watching the video of her there. And I'm like, yo, if these people are like angry and like aggressive big dudes, what is she gonna do? It's literally this joke.
Oh, good. We can steal.
It's literally what it is. So what is she gonna do? I'm deliberately avoiding watching the J6 hearing shenanigans. I have so much. Yeah, there's more important shit going on right now. Like the hearings were boring. I watched it. They were pretty boring. It literally was like it played out like a court drama. It played out like some kind of court drama. It was stupid. I was hoping for something a little bit more, but that was like, I don't know what to expect from, or I'm like, I know what to expect from, just some bullshit political theater. They had the people who got arrested, or some people who got charged with or put on probation, show up to talk about their experience real quick, clipped. They did clip a lot of stuff from Trump out of context, which I knew they were going to do, which is dumb because you don't even need to do that to prove that Trump gaslit these people into doing it. But Dems aren't good at this shit. Let me see what else. Oh, this in California. This was a troll, bruh. This was a troll. I don't know why the right's freaking out over this. Y'all see this? Shut up. This was the same dude who made Trump was the architect of his own downfall. Yeah, he should have shut up. I was constantly, you check his Twitter and you're like, bro, shut up. What are you doing? Every time. I swear that dude, someone had to have been take his phone from him. And I swear Trump had some backup phones hidden all over the White House, everywhere. So in case they took his phone, he could just grab another one. Because some of this stuff was why would you let him tweet that? We know Biden doesn't tweet his own stuff. Biden has somebody else do it. Because if we knew if Biden was tweeting his own stuff, it would just be incoherent nonsense. But this, I don't know why. Like I said, he goes on True Social and he starts the gaslighting again. before the January 6th hearing talking about how January 6th was such a great movement for our country. It was more than a protest. And I'm like, bro, oh my God. There is no excuse. If his ignorant ass fucking base, his angry base lash out again, he had a little flexibility the first time with his words, a little bit. That one you can't really misinterpret. That one's not really, you're not really able to misinterpret that one. I'm like, it seems like he wants this. I think just Trump is somebody, he's one of those people who, when you're like, Trump, you're wrong, dude, stop. What he does is he always doubles and triples down, and he will continuously, he'll keep doing it. He'll keep doing it until it just, shit explodes. Why was he calling for Pence to be hanged? Did he? I remember the people outside, there was that one guy with the guillotine outside on January 6th saying, hang Mike Pence. Although the right continues to deny there were no terrorists at January 6th. And I'm like, that looks like terrorism to me. I didn't say all of them were. I didn't say all the people who went in are. I just said there were some select people there who seemed to want to engage in terrorism. Because I'm like, why else would you have that sign? And you had those that had like zip ties and shit too. And I'm like, yeah, those were the people who looked like they wanted to engage in terrorism. I'm assuming they're not being charged with that because it might be too hard to prove. And the feds always want to win. The feds have like a 96 or 97% conviction rate. So I'm not surprised to it. And I'm sick of people comparing January 6th to BLM or George Floyd or any of that. Those were not even remotely the same thing. I consider them two separate circumstances. About 1/5 of those wanted to confront politicians. Yeah, is that based on the amount of arrests? Or what did they base that on? Because I'm not doubting you, because you saw there were a lot there with signs with clear intent that they wanted to cause harm. Also, during the January 6th hearing, one thing we never got to is I want to know what's going on with Ray Epps. I never got that answered. In my opinion, looking at everything that happened with Ray Epps, he was a snitch. I don't think he was a Fed. I think he was a snitch. Just when I looked into it. Oh, it's your observation based on the footage. Okay. Yeah, because there were a lot there, but it's hard to gauge how many actually went into the Capitol. So I don't have the exact number. But yeah, I think everyone's saying Ray Epps was the Fed that was trying it. In my opinion, I think he was, because I know he was an oath keeper. I think he was genuinely saying that shit. And the Feds knew they could come down on him the hardest because they probably had the most on him. And they're just like, you give us some of the Oath Keepers' communications and you're good. Because the Feds do that. They're like, just let us see these encrypted communications between your group and we'll make sure we don't talk about you. I don't think he was a Fed. I think he just snitched. I think he snitched on everyone. That's how they got those. I don't know. That's just my speculation. I'm not 100%. But damn, I wanted that answered. I don't know why Democrats won't just answer that. So the right will shut up about it. But I don't doubt in both riots, in January 6th and BLM and everything and all that. I don't doubt that Feds played a hand in both of those situations in some way. Because we know the whole BLM thing wasn't even BLM. There was so much of it was Antifa just wanting to destroy shit. But the media narrative changed over time. Remember, it was how it was the Antifa riots, and then it became the BLM and Antifa riots, and then it just changed to the BLM riots. because I remember looking at the footages where the like areas where it just happened. I saw a whole lot of white people in an area that was mostly black. I don't think they're from there. And then the arrest records proved that too. When I looked into the arrest records, then it was like I think 74+% were arrested were from out of the area. Like, yeah, a bunch of white kids showed up and just fucking started torching shit. But Democrats were okay with it because it was making Trump look bad because Trump wouldn't do shit and put him in a bad situation. So, of course, Dems were going to encourage it because it would put Trump in a situation where if he didn't do anything, this is Trump's America. If he does do something, oh, look, what's it called? Trump's a dictator, you know. If Republicans wanted to win that, they should have just addressed the initial concern, which caused everything, which was police brutality. But Republicans love the state, so they will never do that. They will never do that. I was happy when I saw the black men in Chicago turn back to the protesters that they knew to up to no good. Yeah, because there was a lot there. Like, you saw the people, like, remember those, like, bricks that were just sitting out randomly, like, perfectly neatly stacked? We're like, yeah, what the hell? Black people ain't doing that. What are you talking about? I'm like, these are people from out of neighborhood coming to cause destruction. A lot of these, like I said, the Antifa types, authoritarian communists. And I wish the right would stop calling them anarchists. They're not anarchists. Anarchists do not believe in beating people because they're not doing what they say. That's antithetical to anarchism. All the Antifa people who call themselves anarchists, they're going around beating people, they're not anarchists. They believe in the non-aggression principle. Antifa are authoritarian communists. Generally speaking, they're variations in what they believe. There's a bunch of different cells and groups, and there's variations in what they believe, but generally speaking, it's funny because the actual anarcho-communists hate Antifa. You've seen them like yell about them, like they don't like them because the anarcho-communists actually just go buy farmland and just go do their thing. They just go build communes. You can find them in Cali too. I've been to them. But like, yeah, it wasn't a bunch of black people destroying their own neighborhoods. The right was willing to adopt. They were willing to adopt that narrative quickly because, like I said, they're anti-black racism. So, of course, they're willing to adopt that quickly. And you had some that were acting like the whole, like a riot breaking out over the police brutalizing citizens was a new phenomenon that like happened recently. And I'm like, this has been going on since like fucking 80s. This happened since the 80s. But y'all just don't pay attention. Give it another like fucking 20 years. Watch. It'll happen again. And you'll have those commentators on the right being like, I remember growing up, we didn't have things like this. I remember Matt Walsh saying that about his childhood. And I'm like, that we didn't have these police brutality talks or violence over police brutality. I'm like, we had Rodney King in the 90s. What the fuck? What are you talking about? You just not talking. You just didn't pay attention. Shit was there. Shit was happening. You're just a kid, so you didn't pay attention to that shit. Rodney King wasn't even in a vacuum. There was a lot of buildup to that. You didn't even want to get into the shootings that led up to that. Oh, God. And now we have this weirdo who was trolling the right. I don't know why the right was, like, going apeshit over this. Because I was like, this is clearly a troll to rage bait them. He was trying to rage bait the right. And he's proposing, like, mandatory drag classes. Now, we already know where these mandatory drag classes are going to take place. They're going to be in white communities because, like I said, anytime you see this alphabet education stuff and they're showing nudity to the kids, it's always in white communities, in white schools. I don't see this shit happening in elementary schools on, like I said, Crenshaw Boulevard or MLK Boulevard. It ain't happening there. There seems to be an issue with something about white culture. They like to sexualize children in white culture. Let me see real quick. Antifa and the youth are mostly a group of LARPers that are some of the most privileged people. Yes, the heads of Antifa are really smart, well-read people, though. They manipulate idiots, which makes them look unorganized and stupid, which is smart. So when I see the right debunking like some Antifa college student who has no clue what communism is, and making Antifa look like retards, that's fine. That's what they want. They want to look dumb. They want those people to make them look dumb. Because you know why? If they look dumb, they're not threatening. But their leaders are very intelligent. They're very good at manipulating stupid people. But yeah, those college kids that go out there, yeah, they're LARPers. Like those top tier Antifa people, they don't go out in those riots and do the violence themselves. They're not getting arrested. They're gonna have the dumbasses go do it for them. That's like that one guy who had the chest rig. Was it a chest? I can't remember if it was a chest rig or an actual plate carrier. I think it was a plate carrier. Who threw the explosive at the police station, and the guy told the guy told him, "Oh, hey," like some guy. He said, "Oh, some guy handed it to me and said it was a sparkler. I didn't know it was explosive." I was like, "Yeah, that dude was smart and knew what he was doing." He's like, "What did he look like?" He's like, "I don't know. He's wearing all black and a mask." And I was like, "Yeah, you dumbass, you got played." An Antifa dude wanted to fucking bomb the police station, and so he's like, "I'm gonna use an idiot. I ain't doing this. I ain't going to jail over this." Many of those pushing the rainbow agenda are education leaders in black cities and urban areas. What city are you in? Because in LA, that ain't happening. I know it sounds like it, and I know the left likes to pull out their token blacks, especially their non-ADOS token blacks, to push this rainbow bullshit. But generally speaking, in the black community, it's not something that's taught to kids. It's something very much pushed back against. Oh, Philly? I don't know about Philly. I'm talking about LA. Because I know like San Francisco, the leaders are mostly women and that's what I was saying in my last video. I said this alphabet stuff was leaking into the black communities, and it was from the Gen Z black women. That's who they got. The young black men, the old black men, old black women, they're not having it. It's the young Gen Z black women that have been pushing the alphabet stuff. I've noticed that. Because they've been trying to groom the black community for a while. It's not working. With the exception of that aspect. But yeah, I'm not surprised it's the women. Because I'm just saying, some of the stuff I see you teaching, I was like, I don't think you would want to do that in South Central. I don't think you'd want the parents to come in and see you. Because I'm telling you, black mama came in and saw you teaching that, you better hope you run faster than her. Because that shit ain't going to end well. And black fathers don't even get me fucking started. That's going to be way worse. Well, like I said, I know because in white culture, you see, the fathers can figure out this is happening, and then we'll still say the next day, well, I do have to go to work, so I'm going to send you back to this place because I can't miss work. And I'm like, man, white fathers, what is going on with them? They just do not want to be in the home. Statistically, it's like they don't really spend that much time with their kids. And you see what happens? It's the degradation of white culture. And unfortunately, that's why I brought up them grooming the black community. What's an aspect of white culture? Insisting other groups live like you because you think your way is superior. So when white culture starts doing this neglectful fathers and alphabet kids and stuff, they've been trying to push it into black Hispanic communities because they think it's better. And they've been kind of going, no, we're good. They've been trying for years. And like I said, they got the Gen Z black women. It's sort of like the Latinx thing. When you see who pushes the Latinx thing, it's like Gen Z Hispanic women, usually in college. Seems to be the women that are the problem. The young women seem to be the problem. In my city, the issue is fighting between teachers and students and parents. Multiple incidents in the last 2 months. Like, they actually threw hands? Because if that's so, that's crazy. I mean, like, some of the books I've seen, I'm like, if you showed pornographic material to my kid too and I caught you, we're throwing hands. All right, that's why I'm like, dear God, maybe I'm lucky I don't have a kid yet. But, oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, there were hands thrown. All right. Yeah, because some of that weird stuff, I was like, yo, I would not. When I have a kid, if I caught anybody doing that, yeah, there's gonna be hands. You're getting hands. Because this weird sexualizing people or groping women or any of the stuff going on in white communities that tends to be tolerated doesn't happen in black communities. As we saw with the Vietnamese gentleman who tried to rape a woman on the train. You saw what happened when black people found out. But this what Scott Wiener was saying, like, this was the clown who made giving HIV to someone a misdemeanor. They were saying, the right saying you decriminalize it. That's not true. They made it a misdemeanor, which is, that's still bad because it's basically a slap on the wrist for essentially destroying somebody's entire life, which is crazy. That's crazy to me, but this was a clear troll in response to the Texas drag stuff, which was basically a bunch of shit libs, and I'm sure there was some pedos in there, but most of it, again, it was white shit lib women who want to fit in with the crowd, and when these shit lib women want to fit in with the crowd and want to out progressive each other, this tends to be what happens. They all try to one up each other, and yeah, Texas was fucking crazy, bro. And then so they tried to pass something in Texas to ban children from the drag events, which again is another sign that conservatives are lazy. Because when we had social enforcement, this wouldn't happen. But that's just me as a libertarian conservative. I believe in preserving these things through the power of social enforcement, not through authority of the state, by giving the state more authority, because that doesn't end well. Because once the other side gets in power, they just weaponize it against you, and then each side will just keep upping it, as we've seen over the past, God, how long? 100 years. It keeps happening. But Scott Wiener's now saying, let's, teach kids, drag 101. Now, this was clearly to get the right riled up. And unfortunately, many on the right actually took the bait, saying, no, he actually means this. Look, guys, you should have just been like, oh, look, this idiot made a bad troll. Moving on. Giving him attention is exactly what he wanted. Have I seen Matt Walsh's documentary? No, because I don't want to pay Daily Wire money. I've heard it's funny. I've seen clips from it that's funny. And why aren't you going to watch it, though? I mean, the fact that, that had to be made is pretty sad. But again, I can't help so many of the people you're interviewing are of a certain demographic, because I think, I don't know, one culture seems to be degrading. But it looked funny. There was some stupid shit in some of the previews, specifically from the alphabet people, because I can't help but notice when I looked at some of the stuff being said in there, it was like, even the alphabet that agreed with Matt Walsh, why do they make everything about them? Why does the alphabet make everything about them? That they're like the first to have done everything, or the first to experience everything, even the ones who agree with conservatives? The American right is a bunch of reactionaries. Yeah, they basically, depending on how you define reactionary. Not being a reactionary isn't inherently bad. I got to be careful with that. It's not inherently bad. It can be bad. Oh, it's on YouTube if I search well. Yeah, some of the clips though, I just was like, Alphabet, stop making everything about you. Did you see the one with the trans man that was agreeing with him? And he said some stupid shit like, for the first time, a marginalized group has a $sign over their head in about medicating trans kids. And I'm like, the first time we monetized a marginalized group? Didn't we have like 400 years of slavery that we built an economy upon? Alphabet, why do you make everything about you? You make everything about you. Like, you're the first to experience everything. Like, I don't know what's... Y'all just fucking... Even when you agree with the right and everything, you still find a way, man. You still find a way to make it about you. I wonder, actually, now I'm curious about the comments on this too. Oh God, I'm not gonna watch that. I've already seen it once, what they were doing there. That shit's nasty. The right has lost the culture war due to the failure of neoliberals that have destroyed community and everything about money and power. Yeah, the right lost the culture war a long time ago because they decided, instead of planting their feet and saying no, they decided, we'll just give a little bit. And we'll give a little bit more. And we'll give a little bit more. Right? They'll do that. And now all of a sudden, they'll promote things that they said there's no way in hell they would ever promote. Yo, Black Queen, what's good? But yeah, neolibs, like, here's the thing. They won the culture war basically because the right is lazy and they don't do anything. Primarily, they kind of and the left will do things. The neolibs think it's trendy. They latch onto it, and then they accelerate. I think like the actual far leftists who believe a lot of this garbage, I think a lot of them know this. They do know this, that neolibs are idiots, and all they have to do is make their position seem popular to neoliberals. And then they just do that, and then they know the neolibs will one up, and it'll just cause a chain reaction. They'll just accelerate to what they want themselves. They don't even have to do anything. Right? You'll get some people who want to really sexualize kids. Just make it trendy with neoliberals. And then just watch them go. Watch them do it. Because that, like, I've always said, I still believe the shit libs are the problem with the country. I legitimately still think they're primarily the problem. You do have your ignorance on the right that are contributing just as much. I don't know. I don't have a word for those on the right. But there's not as many. It's neolibs that do this crap. Just like Black Lives Matter and defund the police. Once the white neolibs got a hold of it, it was done. It's over. They pervert it into some weird thing. The culture war lost when we made faux progress a priority. Decades of tax cuts to corporation and crony capitalism. Reagan and his Republican successors were very much culpable. Oh, fuck yeah. Reagan. I love when the right goes, Reagan's see, that's an ideal conservative. And I was like, no American should own a machine gun, Reagan. That's your ideal conservative? Mm-hmm. Y'all bitching about gun control now? Do you know how hard Reagan was on gun control? Especially because he is one of those ones who instituted the systemic racist construct of gun control. Because he did it in California. It was the Mulford Act. That was him. When Black Panthers start showing up and protesting peacefully with guns. And I'm like, yeah, this is your great conservative icon? I'm like, okay, sure. The war on drugs, a huge overreach by the state. This is your big conservative icon? This is your small government dude? Okay. I'm not saying the right has no hand in this. The right absolutely does. I'm talking about in terms of culture. like the degradation of culture into what this is, that's where it's like mostly the neolibs. Yeah, that's yeah. A lot of them, there are shit libs too. You got the shit libs in the mix in there too because they think it's popular, right? That's why you have those parents doing this to their kids, white parents. I'm just noticing there tends to be a profile with who's doing it. I'm just trying. I already know there's gonna be those people who are I'll get those angry white ignorants who don't realize why I'm framing it that way. But yeah, the right fucking they contributed to this just as much. Neoliberalism exists on the right. Yeah. The Cheney Bush dynasties have a lot of neoliberal ideas, hence why CNN loved them while Trump was in office. Exactly. The only time you see them I saw CNN praise Trump twice. Once when he picked up a Marine's hat, and the other when he fired the Tomahawk missiles into Syria. Those are the only times they praised Trump. Oh no, they praised him for the drone strikes too. When Trump became warmongery in his first 2 years, where he was quite warmongery, they liked that stuff. They would compliment him on that. But whenever he did anything against that, that's when they didn't like it. The mainstream media went after Biden for leaving Afghanistan. Which I agree, Biden fucked that royally. I don't know what the fuck he was doing when he decided to do it that way. But these mainstream media types, they love these. They love these fucking imperialist wars. They love the imperialist wars and the cronyism and all that bullshit. I do think when it comes to, like I said, neocons and neolibs, they're essentially the same thing, but their rhetoric is a bit different. It's the same thing with a different package. So, like, you'll have the neocons when it comes to anything bearing foreign intervention. They'll just straight up be like, we have to intervene in this country for whatever reason. They'll just say like, we want to do it. The neoliberals would say like, oh no, we can't have this. This is unjust. This is imperialist. Blah blah blah. I'm outraged by it, and then they'll vote for it. Then they just go and vote for it. So they're the same shit, just different phrasing. It's like a different packaging. Drug kids and grown gay clubs have hand over money. Oh, that, yeah. And in Texas, right? Yeah, Texas is. Why don't go to Texas? Desmond is amazing. Yeah, I've seen that. Unfortunately, I wish I hadn't. But I guess if white communities want to keep doing this, if they want to keep sexualizing their children, I mean, I don't know. Something, the culture's got to change. Yeah, I remember when that happened. Don't forget the alphabet had a history of systemic racism as well. I don't doubt it. I'd have to look into it more. But I will say there are a lot of open racists in the alphabet because I have a gay friend who used to use what's it called? What the fuck is the gay dating app? I don't remember what the fuck it's called. But I remember he told me, because he was using that and OkCupid. And I remember he showed me a lot of this. He was like, look at the shit I run into on the Grindr app. And you saw so many people that would say fucking like, they would say like no blacks or no tacos. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, y'all fucking, right? He showed me one. The one I remember specifically was referring to Hispanics. I said no tacos. And I was like, dear God, y'all just like open. Y'all like open about that shit. That was it. Yeah. Yeah. Cause he was showing me that he was like, when I on here, there's so much like hostility to like non-white people. Damn. When he showed me that, I was like, damn, alphabet, like Just open with it. Shit, they don't care. Detransitioners be able to sue therapists or doctors for malpractice? Probably. It depends. Dude, like legally, I wouldn't know how that would work. I'm not sure that would work legally. But some of this shit, yeah, they give them the drugs and shit, and their shit-lived parents. Dude, we're gonna have a generation of fucked up kids. It's gonna be really bad. At least in some groups. You're gonna have we're gonna have a bunch of kids who are gonna just like have their fucking lives destroyed by their neoliberal parents pushing them into something so they look good. And oh man, when those kids get older, it is going to fuck them up. It's going to mess them up mentally bad. Wait, I want to do this, but I'll get to this. I'll get to this in a second. Trevor Noah did a show on sexual racism. I don't care about people who don't want to date me. Yeah, I don't. I'm just saying. I was shocked because of like how open it was. Like, I don't care if you were just like, I only like white people. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I really don't care. You know, whatever. It's America. Do your thing. Do your thing. If that's important to you, then okay. I got no problem with that. Everyone always had the race. Yeah, every group has that. Every group has that. And they'll pull it out. They'll pull it out when it's convenient. It's just interesting how in politics it really seems skewed towards one group of people. Transracialism and transspeciesism. We're already at transspeciesism, aren't we? You got Two-Spirit. You already got the Two-Spirit people. And they were around for a while, actually. Two-Spirit goes back for a while. Like 2012. 2013, there was Two-Spirit. Because I remember when Gamergate started and all that shit. And the Tumblr, and I remember the Tumblr wars back with 4chan. Oh my god, that was hilarious. Tumblr. If you guys don't know Tumblr versus 4chan, dear Lord, that was hilarious. Because Tumblr fucked around and found out. Oh god. It's going to have higher trans suicides in the future. Alpha, beta, woke Democrats are too privileged about it. What do you mean? Like they don't care that they're pushing this stuff and it's going to fuck people up for life? I don't doubt that. I know that's going to happen. I know given another 15, 20 years, these kids are going to be like fucked up. Furries are wild. Who's Gideon? Or did I say that right? I don't know how to say that. Is that FurryCon? I don't know about FurryCon. Does anyone know why there was a massive surge in furries for millennials? I've heard some people have said it's because of the media that we grew up with, and I was like, is that true though? Because they said there was a lot of anthropomorphic animals in shows for millennials when they were kids. So people are saying like that's why there was a giant surge. But if I recall, the whole furry thing goes back to like the 1920s, I think. So I'm like, I don't actually know. I think it was the 1920s, and that shit started. According to Foucault, gender and race are constructs used to oppress. Therefore, they must be abolished. Gender is done. Race is next. Good fucking luck with that one. If they do that, good fucking luck with that one. I understand the argument of race being a construct because it technically kind of is. Because a lot of Europeans were using it. Foucault was a leftist philosopher. I've read some. I haven't read a ton of leftist philosophers. I'm still finishing up like some of Gramsci's stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like you've seen some people doing the race as a social construct, which to a small extent it is. In terms of like, if you want to get really into the race discussion, you'd have to go into Kleins, which are kind of complicated. But I wouldn't be surprised if people just go like want to start identifying whatever the fuck they want. But I don't think that's going to end well. I don't think that's going to fly. Yeah, because I believe technically there's more racial diversity in Africa than anywhere else. But that depends on how you define race. Like if you go into, like I said, Kleins, which is a better descriptor of what it actually is, which is biological. It's a bit more complicated. Because definitely the whole concept of race started with Europeans to classify people. So, wait, there was no way there was furry. No, there wasn't furry clothing, but the concept. I said the concept of furries, of people who drew like pornographic pictures of like animals that were anthropomorphized. I believe goes back to the 20s. If I recall, I haven't read about it in a long time because I remember it's one of those things where it's like, 2 a.m. and you're just like, you're just looking through YouTube and you see like the origin of furries and you're just like, oh, there's nothing else on, fuck it. But I saw that like 3 years ago. I won't be surprised. I mean, we already had Rachel Dolezal and all that other stuff happen, so I'm not gonna be surprised if they try to do some transracialism bullshit. And I would love to see how the white liberals will deal with that. How they're going to react to transracialism, I wonder. Because I know when it started, a lot of them were like, no. But they said no about a lot of things like 5-6 years ago. Remember when the pedos tried to get in the alphabet about like 2015, 2016, and the alphabet was like, get the fuck out of here? And then they tried coming back as maps. And then the alphabet, like in 2018 or something, the alphabet said, get out of here. And then they tried coming back again in like 2020, 2021. And now they're kind of like, no one's saying anything about it. Ollie London and Martina Big have tried. But with success? Is that the thing? And when I mean success, like, they actually openly say, I'm transracial, and people go, okay, because that's what matters. That's what I want to know. I'm not saying it won't happen, because you can sell anything to neolibs. Like anything. Oh, Ollie London, I know who you're talking about. I know the dude you're talking who got all those fucking surgeries. Injected melanin to become trans black. I know about the Korean dude. I know about that one. Yeah, that's fucking wild, bro. No such thing as transracial. I know there's no such thing as transracial. They're going to try, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried. You can sell, like I said, when it comes to these like moronic neolibs, all you got to do is twist it the right way to make it seem like it's a popular position or it's a popular new thing or whatever, and it'll make them popular. I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to unnaturally make black babies. Right? They won't do it the natural way because those neolib white women, they're racist as shit. Ollie London is British. Yeah. I saw him. I know, or the first one. I know Ollie London. I know that one. I didn't know Martina Big. So I'm not surprised. I do think for some, you do have those who definitely want to try to play the, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. I guess the right would say oppression Olympics, but the right doesn't really understand what that is. Because for some reason, the right thinks it's black people always playing victim for some reason. And I think On some level, neolibs, because they're morons, agree with that. And they would love to try and like pull off some transracialism bullshit. But then they might learn the hard way that that hierarchy isn't exactly what it looks like. Try being trans black and blending in. You're going to realize that hierarchy that the right says, it ain't what it looks like. Because I was like, who was it? I think it was like fucking, what was it, John Doyle or something said that like the alpha or black people are more privileged than the alphabet. And I'm like, in what universe do you fucking live in? The fuck? You know, the alphabet cry like one little tear and they get bathroom laws. Black people get killed by police for fucking decades upon decades upon decades, and shit doesn't change. No matter how much asking or demanding there is, shit don't change. Even the white conservatives are victims of lost cause brainwashing. I've said that when it comes to America, when everyone goes, nobody's oppressed in America, I'm like, actually, everyone's oppressed in America. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Last time I checked, the government shouldn't be able to stop you from buying an automatic weapon. But they just said, fuck it, we can do it. All right? The police can do whatever the fuck they want to you. And all they got to do is say some certain things and they'll get away with it. Right? In the conflict, they can set it up in any way they want to make you look like the bad guy and fucking kill you. And they will get away with it. And I'm like, that sounds like state oppression. And that includes, like I said, white people. But the right doesn't care when white people are killed by police. Right? There was no fucking riot over Jared Lackey. Anyone remember that? Those cops executed the poor dude, man. They fucking cold blood executed him right in front of his girlfriend, and there was no outrage from the right. And I was like, what the fuck? Y'all just don't care. You just have weird obsession with, you just seem to really enjoy it when it's happening to black people. That's why I said it's sad. It's sad. We're not going to get police reform because, like I said, the majority doesn't want it. And so, like I said, the police will continue to oppress these people. And somehow they are convinced that they're not. That's hilarious to me. Right? But the libertarians understand this. Conservatives don't understand this. Right? The shitlibs don't understand this. Which actually reminded me of this. Where is it? I was watching this earlier because everyone's talking about gun control right now. So, oh wait, hold on. Actually, speaking of all the talk of gun control, what's my stock doing? Okay, my stock's good. I bought stock in firearms because you know it's gonna go up. You know it's gonna go up real quick. The Lost Cause is the version of American history that states black people don't have real grievances but are the architect of their own issues. Yeah, that's generally what the right believes. Because they don't care to understand black issues. And this is what people like MLK talked about. He brought this up. He said like things like racial solidarity is not going to be reached unless white America understands the plight of black America. And the right, mostly, like I said, and the white liberals as well, don't want to understand. The white liberals want to talk about how much they understand when they don't know shit of what they're talking about. And if anything, encourage the shit to keep happening. And the right doesn't want to hear it. They just want to ignore it. They're just like, I don't want to hear the dude who's actually pointing this out. I want a Candace who's just telling me it's just all their fault. Don't worry about it. Right? Because that's what the white people want to hear. They want to hear, oh, it's just all them. That's why I said, okay, I'll play that game too. I just said, all right, I'm gonna just take the rhetoric and throw it back at them. Right? Because this is why I brought up, like, they want to bring up the gangs, but they don't want to talk about where the gangs originate from. and why the gangs formed. They don't want to talk about that. Right? You want to talk about the origins of the Crips? They don't want to talk about that. Because you realize, oh shit, they were formed out of necessity because anti-black racism and state oppression. Now, then, shit gets out of hand, and they go, clearly it's all them. I'm like, what the honestly, you're just like, okay. And they try to act like that shit doesn't trickle down, right? Like, we're not even that many generations. Like, my dad lived in Jim Crow, and we're just like not fucking, we're trying to act like that shit didn't impact people today. Like, there's like nothing the state has done impacted of black people, targeted, acts towards black people affect them today. And I'm just like, bro, my dad grew up in this shit. What are you talking about? Right? That's not even a generation out. It's crazy, bro. They just want to fucking not have to talk about it. I don't know why they don't, because it could, if they wanted to actually address it, they could actually win some fucking elections. But I guess holding on to their narrative is more important to them than actually winning elections or actually fixing up the country and making it better. So I saw everybody is fucking wilding over gun control right now. And look, I get it. I get it on both sides. Now, I'm not, no way fucking in hell I am trusting the state to take care of me, especially after Buffalo. You think even the shit libs would maybe want to be a little more relaxed on gun control after Buffalo? Since, they're all on that Black Lives Matter shit. And, and then you have Uvalde, where we saw what happens when the state comes in to protect you. That doesn't work very well. Right? And you see how much damage someone can do before the state can even show up to do anything. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised when there's more people who live in these areas who are like, I think I'm gonna get strapped. I think I want more firepower. Because like I've said with Buffalo, that guy intentionally, he didn't go to the hood. He did that intentionally because he knew he would get shot in 2 seconds. All right. Now, as soon as the context changes a little bit, now all of a sudden, we're all back on gun control. I don't understand the argument of we need to rely because some people are like, we need to rely more on police when we saw what happens when we rely on police from the left, which is funny because usually they're the ones like, I'm talking about like the shit lib Democrat types. They're the ones all saying defund, fuck the police, blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden they're like, trust the police. I don't get it. And then the right's argument is just as stupid because they're saying maybe we should have police in schools. Bitch, we had police there. They didn't do shit. Same thing in Parkland. What the fuck did they do? Wouldn't you rather have private security because they're held to different legal standards? You can actually sue private security firms. The police got all these legal protections. So you gotta be out of your goddamn mind if you think I'm gonna be for more restrictions and more, like I said, monopolizing force more with the state. Fuck that. I understand where the gun control people are coming from. I get it. But essentially what it boils down to is, again, it's going to come down to more trust with the state. And they're shown to have been incompetent over and over and over. The reason we depend on the state is that the community is lost. There is no reason the kid should have gone to shoot up the school, especially since students might even been related to him. He had so many warning signs, right? dude had so many warning signs he was going to do some shit. And the crazy thing is, nothing happened. That big security state, your big security state that's monitoring everyone, your surveillance state, look what that did. That didn't do anything. Because this kid had a hell of a lot of warning signs. Where was the security state? I'm just saying, I didn't see it. We already seen, like, there's a possible ex-Fed involved in Buffalo, which I'm still waiting on hearing on. But if you want to say, like, you know, mental health issues, I generally agree with that. And I think there's a fair compromise into saying if we allow free mental health services, we leave guns alone. Sure, I got no problem with that. My only problem is the right doesn't mean that genuinely, because the right doesn't actually propose mental health legislation. They just say, what about mental health? Like, that's it. That's all they say. So they'll get hit with a gun control proposal, and then they'll say, what about mental health? And it's like, okay, well, what is your proposal? That's like, you gotta have something there. Otherwise, it just sounds like you're deflecting. Or they'll go, what about Chicago? What the fuck about Chicago? Y'all don't do anything about it? You don't care about Chicago? What the fuck? Stop bringing that up. It's weird because the right doesn't actually have arguments against the gun control. They just have, like, emotional appeals with no policy. No, I agree it's a symptom and not the cause. Because, I mean, there's commonalities between all these shooters. There's a lot of commonalities, such as, like I said, you got the SSRIs, fatherless homes, isolation. Isolation seems to be a big one. They tend to be very isolated. They don't have big communities or anything around them. I don't think social media either is a good thing for people under, like, 18 or under 21 to have. I'm not saying it should be regulated. I'm just saying I don't think it's good for a developing mind because it skews reality. And when you pile it on top of being isolated, we don't really have studies on what that does yet. But I don't know what the fuck's going to become of that. Yeah. Chicago is just a deflection. They don't care about Chicago at all because they do not propose any sort of legislation for Chicago, or, like, not legislation, but they don't do anything about it. They don't try to actually propose a practical solution or anything toward Chicago. They just bring it up selectively. It's either to, like, downplay the death of black people or as an argument against gun control. It's stupid. So I don't even know why y'all want to keep bringing up Chicago. And again, same thing. If you want to bring up mental health, you're going to have to actually propose something and not just say, but mental health. Because isolation is, I think, actually a serious thing. Hold on. Check out the interview that Jonathan Haidt had and Lex Friedman. He discussed the effect of social media on preteens and teens. I've been concerned about that. I've been saying, like, I've said this since, like, for, like, the past, like, 8 years or something. I said, I know you cannot create a sociopath later in life. I know it's something you're either born with or you develop from a very young age. I think raising a generation on social media is going to create a generation of sociopaths. I think that. Because I'm seeing how it changes some, like, grown-ass people. Because I remember when it first was starting to catch on, I saw how it changed some grown-ass people. And I'm like, there's no way this is good for kids to have. Yeah, the big... Yeah. A lot of them have been, like, around 18 or less. So I don't know. I need to look at more, like, studies on the issue, because I definitely don't think social media is helping anybody. And on top of it, COVID lockdowns, which were also isolating people even further, driving them deeper into social media, which is really bad. So I'm not sure.
Pistols are just as deadly as a gun. It depends on whose hands they're in.
It's very obvious. Tons of restrictions on AK-40. What are they?
Why are kids doing this?
She doesn't know. Damn. Imagine calling for restrictions and you don't even know the most popular firearm in the entire world. So popular that it's literally on a flag. What country's flag was it? Oh, it's bugging me. Well, no, it wasn't Morocco, because Morocco's the Red Star. Fatalism and nihilism are on the rise. I imagine how you would feel. I never understood the nihilist perspective. It just sounds hollow. It sounds like this is the kind of stuff you're going to happen if you just have a very nihilist perspective on everything. They just don't seem like very nice people to be around. Okay, was that it? I don't know why I wanted to say Morocco, because I'm like, no, that's the Red Star. Let me look up the flag real quick. Hold up. Yeah, there it is. Because I was like, I know it's the only firearm that appears on an actual country's flag, but I couldn't remember which one. It was bugging the hell out of me.
In general, it's not because guns exist. People are not running each other over just because cars exist.
What's going on, everyone? James Klug here. Given the recent shooting in Uvalde, Texas, I think it's important for us to talk about the possible solutions to prevent or reduce these kinds of tragedies. And
I haven't seen this yet. I've seen part of it. My friend sent it to me. Just Saudi Arabia has a sword. Yeah. Okay. My friend Big Gun Nut who sent it to me. I've only watched like the first 2 minutes though.
Say reduce because there's unfortunately no policy that eliminates evil. So today we're in Southern California to find out.
Okay, see, you can't start with that because then you could draw that to anything though. That's already a bad start. Because if you're just going to say there's no policy that eliminates evil, we can literally just... That's true, but then we could just draw that logic to anything. It's not really a good argument.
Before we get started, you guys, this video is sponsored by Undertac. Huge shout out
No
to
one
you.
gives a shit. Wait.
In your opinion, what do we need to be doing? What do you think?
Restrictions on guns.
It's very obvious. It's very obvious.
It's very
Tons
obvious.
of restrictions on AK-40. What are they?
I think the guns have to be limited in some way or fashion or form.
All of them.
The reason I always think this guns are limited, like I said, when I was growing up, you would be amazed how easy in LA it is to get your hands on almost anything. And I say this with so much emphasis because it is a joke how easy it is to get your hands on a lot of stuff in LA, which has heavy gun control. It's crazy. And it has a fuck ton of gun crime. So I'm like, and a lot of the guns that have gotten here, at least in Cali, they were given to cartels by Obama that were then shipped back up through the border. You know, Operation Fast and Furious. Oh, man. If you guys don't know about that, look into that. A lot of those guns, those illegal guns in Cali, actually came from the Obama administration arming cartels. So maybe you could argue our government's a problem. I don't know.
Those.
AR-15s and things.
Tons of restrictions.
Okay.
They're not doing
High capacity magazines. No need. Well, banning assault weapons would be the first thing.
Even
High capacity magazines are mostly banned. Oh, but I've heard this one. Most people, oh my God, you can tell they're shit libs. Because, you know, whenever someone says high capacity, I've always asked, what does that mean? And people are like, you don't need a 15 round mag. And I'm like, that's low capacity. What are you talking about? 30 is standard. High is like 50 plus. People interviewed don't face gun violence. As such, their perspective is skewed. Yeah, I understand. I'm like, yo, I've experienced gun violence. It only made me double down on 2A. So I'm like, I'm not just speaking out of nowhere.
And if one can be prevented by limiting guns in the beginning or to start with, I mean, it's a start, right? So
What do you think?
Well, so we're coming out here. I'm telling people what I think. Pretty much my approach is hardening schools like they did at all these schools around here, which is, you know, not just having schools where anybody can just walk on.
Oh, that.
I know he's in Cali, so that is true.
Yeah.
They do
Also,
that here.
armed security on schools, whether it be a officer or anything like that.
Put police officers in school. Yeah, because Uvalde, that worked out great, didn't it? You had your school resource officer and you had the cops who showed up. Yeah, they did real good at stopping Uvalde, right? What does this put cops in schools? What the fuck? Oh no, the state failed. What do we need to do? More state. That seems to be the right and the left. They're like, the state can't do this properly. What do we do? Double down. More state control. What? Like I said, I already said that when you get private security, it's a little bit different because there's different standards. And the private security doesn't have the same they don't have the same protections that, you know, officers have. Officers have a bunch of legal protections. And they have no legal obligation to do anything for you either. So it tends to be I would say a better bet would be private security. Now, how you get that security would require school funding.
Actually at the school.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Why don't we got our kids like we guard every, you know, like high value, like celebrities and politicians and stuff like that. They all have armed guards and stuff like that, right? I mean, I understand different people have different opinions about the gun issue, but like to solve the problem, like you can't just stop these crazy people like that. It's just not going to happen. It's a culture thing, you know. I mean, we need to protect the kids, you know. So if that means having some armed cops guarding the schools, I'm like all for that.
Maybe.
What is Jesus, man? Everybody just can't think outside the state, man. That's crazy. Everyone so far is twice. Cops in schools. Bitch, cops didn't stop Uvalde. They got their kids out and they fucking left. Why would your solution to put more police in the schools? The people who didn't do shit, that's who you want. That's who you want to put in the schools. I understand this whole like if you ever been to any government building, there's armed security everywhere. If you've been to any state or federal building, they got armed security everywhere. I never understood some of these, like I said, they're neolibs, so they don't think. Who will say something like schools shouldn't feel like a prison by having, I don't know, security, metal detectors or other shit there in areas where it's high risk. I never understood that because y'all saying do something, that's something, but you're saying no because the school shouldn't feel like a prison. So I'm like, so you would rather have low security where this could happen again, regardless of whether or not you ban the guns, because that's not really going to help, than have the school feel like a prison? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, does it even matter when you already have the school to prison pipeline anyway? Seems like you're just prepping them for the future. I mean, that's basically what schools are there for. They basically prepped you to essentially they prep you to do everything you're told. If you've ever figured that out, like if you've gone to these schools, if you've gone to multiple schools, people who've gone to multiple schools know what I'm talking about. It's all the same of just teaching you useless shit you don't need and do what you're told. Right? But that I'm digressing.
Like higher security at schools, maybe have like someone check the students as they walk in, backpacks, things like that.
If it's not schools, then I mean, if the person who wants to shoot will find other places where, there's enough public to do what he wants to do.
And then I'm actually
So gun-free zones. Because it sounds like he just admitted that people will just go to gun-free zones, which is what they do. These areas all have these shootings. I think it's, what is it? How much is it? 90+% gun-free zones. Even you saw Buffalo. The dude's like, I want soft targets. And more security guards necessarily won't be the solution necessarily, because if it's like one security guard and a shooter shows up in a gun-free zone where he knows the security guard's going to have a gun, then that becomes the first target. And then it's just get him out of the way, catch him off guard, move on. That's the problem. That's the problem with that.
Okay with what they have in Florida, where the sheriff's department can train a teacher that wants to get their concealed carry and go through a bunch of training and be on campus with a concealed carry. Do you guys disagree with any of those?
That's a risk. Teachers, armed teachers, because then you could have innocent students being shot too in response to an attack.
That's a good idea at all.
What? In response to an attack, a trained shooter would end up accidentally shooting the kids? Wait, what? Hold up. Am I missing something?
You think they were just innocent? They just shoot them on
they were
accident?
just in crossfire. I'm just saying.
In crossfire?
Yeah.
You mean like if there was a school shooter, there would be
shooting with an intruder? Yes.
If teacher.
But everyone who's trained with firearms knows one of the main rules is you need to know what your target is and what's behind it. Like I said, I think these are just shit libs who don't know anything about guns. Now, the people who, like I said, have a bunch of guns and no training, I don't like those people. I'm not 100% on board with them ethically having guns. They can legally have guns. Ethically, though, I don't know.
There's definitely don't force them, but if they want to, arm themselves and train themselves and I think they should be able to do that.
Would you prefer no teacher that's armed on campus over a teacher that's armed on campus if there was an active shooter on campus?
I don't think they should arm teachers. No, I think that's a mistake.
I don't think that's
I don't
teacher's
agree with
capability.
Do you like the idea of an armed guard on campus?
Yes, that's a good idea.
sense,
Yeah.
All right, you guys, let's take a quick second to talk about today's sponsor. Too many of us. Tech.com. That's 20. So it's like their Sentinel training. Now, that's probably the most controversial of all those things, but I don't seem to have a necessary problem with that if they are receiving quite good training from, let's say, for example, Sheriff's Department or something.
Yeah.
Do you agree with all of those?
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. In fact, the last one that you just mentioned, I didn't know that was out there. I had brought that up in a conversation the other day.
If a citizen decides that, hey, I don't want to be a sheep, I want to be a wolf. If I'm in a situation like that, I think, you should have the right to be able to protect yourself.
Mainly, to me, those combat the idea of, something bad happened on campus. Someone is on campus with something trying to hurt people.
The issue with this is then it also then makes the teachers the first targets. Right? I was saying anybody in school who wants to be strapped, if they're trained, you can have a biometric safe with your gun in it. Right? Like the janitor's got a biometric safe in his closet or whatever, and he wants to be strapped. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. Because a lot of times, if you tell everybody who has the gun, then that's who you tend to target first. That's the issue. But I got no problem if you want to have a gun and you have and trained to have a gun on school grounds. Fine. I do understand the concern of concealed carry, and they know you're carrying it. Like, I get that concern, but that can be mitigated by biometric safes, right? Because no one's getting in those except you. That one I get. I think Maj brought that up too. if I recall, because I remember we did a video on this a while back, and I remember Maj brought this up as well.
Do you know, when seconds count, there's that term, the cops are just minutes away. Do you really wait that long, or do we focus on protecting our children like we do our jewelry stores?
Or in Uvalde, they're fucking like an hour away.
And you seem like you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for giving people the ability to respond on their own. Sure. And I think people are willing to do that.
I think one popular argument would be they don't want it to look like a prison or something. You hear that on social media.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be
that.
a prison.
You know, with kids and all that.
What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, when I was a kid, I was born in '84. So when I was in school, you know, it was generally, hey, you know, cops are the good guys. I know people have opinions about that nowadays too, but it's like when you're
bold of you to assume that. I have brought this up. I remember I was brought this up when I was talking to some lefty who was saying some shit about this. Like they were saying the good guy with a gun doesn't stop the bad guy with the gun. Clearly, as Uvalde shows, that's not true. And I'm like, one, who did stop him? And two, bold of you to assume that the cops are good guys with guns. That was a bold assumption there. I don't assume a cop is a good guy with a gun until he proves me otherwise. Can America ever rid itself of violence? Violence is America's stronghold. It's founded on violence and it continues to perpetuate violence. That's a hard one. Is what we do to deal with this. The violence has been going up though. Right? So that's the issue. Although violent crime has been decreasing. We're talking about the shootings though. The shootings have been the issue. It's the mass shootings. But yeah, I do agree, generally speaking, that America has been founded on violence. And it's definitely not shy of violence on the global stage, as we've seen. As they're looking for any excuse to go into your country. That's why so many countries, like, if they ever get in a conflict with another nation, and America's like, I forget, I'm trying to remember where, and America's like, we'll help you. They're like, no, stay away, please. Because helping you comes with strings attached, because once we let you in the door, you're never going to leave. A crime bill 2.0 is inevitable. Yeah, with Biden in office, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And whoever they get in 2024, I'm not surprised they're going to do a crime bill 2.0. Where they're going to talk about quote unquote assault weapon ban again. They never define what that means. A lot of the guns that are proposed to be banned, there are other guns that are literally functionally exactly the same, just different model. And they're like, that's okay. Or even more dangerous. And they go, that one's fine. I don't understand that. BB guns oh, bro, no, not my airsoft. AR-15. Yeah, but it's weird because they go like, we'll ban the AR-15. Okay, I'll go get an AK. Okay, we'll ban the AK. I'll go get a Bushmaster M4 then. What? Like, okay, we'll ban that. I'll get an XM15. What do you like? You can just keep moving to the next thing. Unless they outright ban all rifles or semi-automatic rifles, which is what they want to try. Which is kind of dumb because I'm like, if you were going to shoot in multiple targets, someone with some training, if you're going to shoot multiple targets fast and you want to put everything down, you don't spray. You're not going to hit your target spraying with a 30-round mag. You're going to lose control of your gun. You would want to be on semi-automatic. That's how you would do it. Anyone who has any experience with target shooting knows you don't want to spray at a target. It's not a good plan, especially if you're trying to like hit multiple targets. You don't spray at the targets. You're not going to hit it, or you're going to lose control of the firearm. It's very hard to control an automatic firearm while you're spraying it because I've shot them before. They're very hard to control. I'm an avid airsofter, so if they banned BB guns, I would be furious. Because then my sport's dead. I guess I have Muay Thai, but that's it. That's all I'll have left. I actually I'm getting ready to go on Sunday. I got all my guns ready right here. Except I don't think YouTube would allow me to show them because they're all one-to-one replicas because I play Milsim. And YouTube doesn't like you showing guns on camera. Even if they're airsoft guns. They look, like I said, mine are one-to-one replicas, so they're like the super, super expensive, nice ones. And YouTube's going to be like, you're showing guns. You can't do that. They do more buybacks and/or increase guns and ammo taxes in blue city states. The inflation, the ammo shortage and inflation's already taxing the crap out of ammo. Some rounds are up to $1 a round, which is insane. I think it's been a while since I went to the shop, but I think 5.56 is up to like $1 a round, isn't it? Which is fucking crazy. That's insane. But also, I've heard this, the increased taxes and everything. My issue is this basically saying, so only wealthy, mostly white people can have guns. Because that's basically what you're saying when you want to say, we're going to do these taxes that are going to make guns cost like 10 grand. I'm like, so basically only wealthy people can protect themselves. And then what do poor people have to rely on to protect themselves? The state. And we've seen how the state deals with American citizens. They treat them as terrorists. They're looking for any excuse to start some shit with you. That's the contradiction I have with the left. That's one of my big issues with them. Is that I don't get how they say this. The state brutalizes American citizens. They want to specifically go, oh, black and brown people are constantly brutalized by the state, but then they also want more restrictive laws that make sure these same groups of people have to rely on the state more, which doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, basically, yeah. Rich people will have private security, and poor people will have to rely on the police. Well, what will actually happen, and we do see this in places like Chicago, is the poor people are going to get hookups with illegal firearms. They're going to get hooked up. Eventually, it will get to that. If it got restrictive enough, like I said, it's not hard to get illegal guns in the cities. It's very easy. And many people do it because if shit gets too out of hand and there's no access to firearms, they're going to have to get it themselves. If people want it, they will get it. This is why I brought up the story. Someone, felon legally couldn't get a gun, but was released back on the street, and he had enemies, so he had to get a gun. He had to find an illegal firearm to protect himself. Got stopped. Got 25 years for illegal, or 20 years, sorry, for illegal firearm possession. But it's crazy, dude. All I'll say is it depends on what the gun was used for. I don't know how much YouTube wants me say, will allow me to say, and I will never encourage somebody to buy illegal weapons. All I'll say is it depends what the gun was used for. If it's cheap, you don't do that. Don't buy any illegal guns. But if it's cheap, really don't buy an illegal gun. You can get them pretty cheap. Don't do it.
Kid in a school, the cop was a safe place.
When you go into a bank, do you feel like you're in a prison? No, you feel secure. I feel like I can go in there with $30,000 in cash for one of my businesses, and I can feel safe.
Right.
You know why? Because they protected their assets. They protected their institution.
The teacher can become a target.
I think that's actually one of the most fair points. So,
Okay.
And the weapon can be stolen.
Okay.
Forcefully or not.
Aside from that,
yeah, the forceful stealing. That's why I brought up biometric safes, because you're not going to break into that. But it's always like that's always a possible risk. No policy is going to be airtight That's why I don't like those people who say, specifically, it's usually on the left, who say, if it just saves a life, that's one of those. There's always going to be policies that are going to have where something shit is going to happen as a result of that policy. So yeah, it is possible that could happen, but then you put in safety measures like biometric safes. Because if it just saves a life, bullshit is stupid. Whenever people bring that up when it comes to policy, that's one of the most cheapest emotionally manipulative tactics I've ever seen, because there's no policy that will effectively do that. It's sort of like utilitarianism on a grand scale is bad, but to an extent, running a society, you have to be utilitarian. To an extent. There's obviously a limit where you go, no, you can't do that. But there is no policy that will get everybody out 100% perfect. The right thinks we're in a utopia, while the left wants to build utopia. The right is too busy crying about being the victims of everything. But there's utopian ideas that are. I've seen the left's utopia. Like what they refer to. I've heard how they want to do these things, and a lot of the arguments of it just saves a life, that's a stupid argument. There's a lot of things we could implement if it just saves a life. That's not how you effectively run a society. You can't do that. Every policy position you choose will have risks and side effects. There is no flawless policy. It's sort of like it's one of the ones I've talked about was with some other people petitioning for rent control, and I was like against rent control because I'm like, it's a policy that I said it helps a very small amount of people and it screws over everybody else. That's what I brought up. Either way, that's where you have to go into utilitarian thinking. Sure, we'll help some people, but we're gonna fuck over a lot of people. That's where it's practical. To go, it's not a good idea. Where it's dangerous is when you go like, okay, we have to kill 10 people to save 20 people. That's when you're getting into. That's when it gets dangerous. But on some level, you have to adopt it. But yeah, there's no utopia. That's why I can't get behind anarcho-capitalism. I've come close, but I can't quite get there because I'm like, I don't see how that's possible. I'm very sympathetic to it, like people like Michael Malice. I just don't see how that's going to work. It works on a small scale. It's not going to work for a city. It's not going to work for a country. That's not going to work. Do you believe in the conspiracy theory that leftist DAs deliberately release criminals back into society to increase the path towards national police? I do think the security state wants to cause problems to create, a stronger security state. I mean, like, the CIA was supposed to go away after the Cold War, and it didn't. Right? You have the Department of Homeland Security. We're not spying on American citizens. That's what they were doing. That's what they were using it for. I definitely think there are people who deliberately want to cause problems to increase state power. I would not be surprised. I don't know if the DAs are deliberately releasing the criminals because they're part of a conspiracy or if they're just crazy ideologues. Because some of them are just fucking loony ideologues. Right. And I don't like the crazed ideologues or the idiots, because then the problem is the right will latch on to the idiots and then we don't get change. Like for the bail reform debate, the right will always pull out the like people who shouldn't have been out on bail anyway. Like who have a long list of crimes, and then some like leftist DA released them on like low bail, and then they went out and like killed somebody, and they would go, "This is what bail reform looks like." And like, no, not if you have a history. Nobody argued if you have a history of like violent crime or doing stuff that the next time you get arrested, just be fucking released on bail. Nobody argued that. There's definitely people who want to cause problems just because they want, you know, like I said, they want governmental solutions that are not necessary. Because a lot of times the source of the problems is the state itself. As I've said, for example, illegal firearms. A lot of illegal firearms in California came from down south, and where they got it from down south was the Obama administration. And they know this shit's gonna happen. The security state is so big. They know the side effects of the shit they're gonna do and what's gonna happen. They don't give a shit. Like I said, we did have a ex-Fed who may have known about Buffalo before it happened. I'm not surprised. I'm not this surprised the government would allow a tragedy to happen in order to ramp up the security state. We've already seen our government lie into wars, right? The Gulf of Tonkin, 65,000 Americans dead over the course of 19 years, all based on a lie, right? 2 million North Vietnamese dead, all based on a lie. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to pull some sly shit here. But as far as I don't know, I don't get this George Soros talking point. George Soros seems to fund a lot of stuff that just seems to be destructive, whether it's left or right, because it seems like in other countries he's funded right-wing things before too, especially in other countries. So I'm like, that guy just seems like somebody who's destructive. He just likes to be he likes putting his money with people who are destructive. He doesn't care what side it is. There are those people. There are those people that are like, whatever side is causing problems, I want to fund that side because it's funny. Even sometimes I've gone into that mindset of becoming an accelerationist where I'm like, bro, just when I was talking to those right-wingers fucking trying to push this Civil War crap and just like acting like tough guys while I'm looking at their pictures, they're all like 40 pounds overweight. I'm like, you know what? At that point, when I see that, I'm like, you know what? I'm an accelerationist at that point. All right, let's go. Just egg them on at this point. It'll be funny. I'm done. The buildup is pissing me off and it's boring me. I just want to get to the point where they all have to end up looking down at the police and see what happens. Oh, right. Yeah, everybody who criticized. I didn't even say he was some crazy leftist funding leftist. I just said he seems to fund things that are destructive. That's true. Even on Fox News, you can't bring his name up or they'll take you down. Do you remember that? That happened on Fox News? And the Koch brothers were the one left. They fund a lot of right-wing stuff. But no one ever talks about it. I know Project Veritas got like 1.5 mil during Trump's administration or during Trump's election cycle in, I think, 2016. So, what's the word? To fund, what's it called? Trump's, it was media coverage favorable to Trump and looking bad for Hillary. And I'm like, yeah, these guys both fund shit that just seems sort of destructive. Actually, the Koch brothers are a bit more consistent with what they fund. As far as I have no fucking clue. But I guess I'm going to get taken down now for anti-Semitism. Because you can never pull the race. You're never allowed to pull the race card unless you're Jewish or white. Then if you pull the race card, everyone's okay with you. I would really say Jews, because when they pull the race card, everybody listens. Because even on the left, if you pull that on the left, you pull the race card over there, they'll jump on that real quick. They're okay with the race card with Jews, and the right's okay with race cards with Jews. Anyone else, they'll start criticizing. And I don't mean anything disrespectful by that, Jews. I would like to know, what did you do so black people can do that too, right? I'm not dogging on you. I'm saying, how did you do that? Let us know. I said it's good that you get listened to. Teach other groups how to do that. I'm not implying any kind of conspiracy or anything.
Armed guard on campus, would you support?
Yeah.
None of you guys brought up banning guns. Do you think that's not the solution? What do you think?
No, because I mean, guns are still out there, and
your approach is more realistic than that. Is that correct?
Correct.
People feel as if anybody can have a firearm, that it'll be used more often, which is the exact opposite. Because the more responsible individuals will be the ones who have that. And to have that responsibility is a burden that you carry on your shoulders.
You know, regardless of what side you are on the whole gun thing, fine, hate guns. But I mean, it's like, dude, these are kids. I mean, if I don't see why we're not protecting children, especially small children, small schools like the Uvalde thing. Those are small 7, 8, 9-year-old kids.
Wherever there's a valuable asset, you'll find armed guards.
Do you think children are more valuable than those items?
That's where the people have to see where society values what more. The fact that they install armed guards at every jewelry store, you go to the Los Angeles Jewelry District, you're going to see every single armed guard at every door. You know why? Because
that's true. Yeah, you go to the Diamond District, there is private security everywhere, outside of every diamond shop. I don't know why you'd want to go to the Diamond District, because it smells like piss everywhere. It does. Anyone from LA knows that. You only go to the Diamond District if you absolutely have to. If you're there to sell or buy something, otherwise it smells like piss. But yeah, there's armed guards everywhere. Not cops, like private security, armed guards everywhere. I feel bad for those private security guards because they get to smell the hot piss all day, because all the heat reflects off the light and the tall buildings, and it gets stuck. It traps it in there, so it gets really hot in downtown. And then you got the homeless problem, them pissing everywhere, and that whole place smells like hot pee. I remember working downtown right next to the Diamond District. Fuck. I never left the building. And the only time I left the building was to get food, and then half the time I didn't. I had to ask my friend to go do it, because I ain't going out there. It fucking smells. It's not the big cities. It's that one part of LA. It's one part, just like the Diamond District. Anywhere else is fine. Some parts of Venice smell like pee, but that's it. Some areas of Venice and down the Diamond District downtown smell like piss. So, God, I remember trying to go to the Carl's Jr. next to work there. Oh, fucking hell, man. You take 2 steps out and you're like, I'm not hungry anymore. I just would not leave the building. I just have my friends go get my food for me. I'm like, you go out there. Fuck. I don't want to go out there. And there's clubs near there too. And I was like, why are you going to go to clubs there? Why are you going to go to venues there? Yeah, New York is different though. Like New York, I've heard the areas that are like smell like hot piss is like everywhere. People who say that in LA, it's a handful of places. It's like, okay, if I'm being realistic, it's like Skid Row, a part of Venice, and the Diamond District downtown. That's where it smells like piss everywhere. It's not the whole city. All those people who are like, I went there once, it smelled like this everywhere. No, it didn't. You were lying. Just like those people where you go, like people go like, California, I've been to LA, it's like third world, or California, it's like third world. I'm like, where the fuck did you go? Skid Row? That's it? I'm like, what? I'm like, what the have you been to all of California? Because there's only a couple areas where I would say it's hit like third world level. And they're small. downtown Dallas? Does it have all the tall buildings that trap the heat? Anywhere in LA, whatever the temperature is, it's 10 to 15 degrees hotter in downtown. It's all those metallic windows in the huge buildings, and the light reflects off, and then it gets trapped in there, and it'll stay hot hours later. And since we don't really do anything about the homeless here, all Newsom will do is he'll just move them somewhere else. And then he'll try to run on, I care about solving homelessness. Bitch, you just move them somewhere else, and then they come back like 5 days later. You don't want to address it. Newsom's a fucking disaster. And yet we couldn't get rid of him because Larry Elder fucked it up. And I helped with that recall too. That's why it's extra annoying. I helped with the recall too. I had to run that fucking tap dancing ass.
Because there's about $7 billion worth of
Like they value
jewelry,
jewels more than
assets.
kids.
Well, no, it's not just the jewels. Check this out. It's jewelry, it's capital, it's clubs.
We raised 4 children.
Right.
Okay, and there's a lot of restrictions in their high school, but kids can even bring, unless they check everybody's backpack, kids can even bring weapons.
What's the primary?
They can do that, though. It's easy to do. If you've ever been to a government building, they check all your shit before you go in. Any government building, they check all your shit. It's not like that's not possible.
Primary thing? Is it mental health, or is it the
Hard
guns?
to get at mental health. I think it's the guns.
You think it's the guns?
I think it's the video games that promote shooting.
Oh, hello, 90s Republican. Oh God. Oh shit, libs. You're just like Republicans. Larry Elder was an easy target for Democrats to deflect from Newsom's family. Yeah, exactly. If they had left it alone, what's his name? Caitlyn Jenner would have won. If we had left it alone. Larry Elder, there's no fucking way he would have gotten anywhere in LA, in California. They know that. They did that on purpose. The right ruined this. And then you had idiots saying they want Newsom's authoritarianism because they didn't vote for Larry Elder. And I'm like, aren't you all the same people who said like Afghanistan was a failure because we tried to westernize them, even though they were like hundreds of years behind us? And you said it culture shocked them because you couldn't do that much that fast. The same applies to politics. You can't go to the second farthest left state in the country and run somebody who's pretty far to the right, because that will culture shock and scare people, right? Jenner was to the right of Newsom, not that much, but a little bit. And then next election, you can run somebody slightly to the right of that. But instead, you brought up a tap dancer in LA. He was campaigning in LA. I was like, why would you bring an anti-black tap dancer and run him in LA? What the fuck are you thinking? Like, what do you think that's going to go? You think that's going to go well? And then also, Larry Elder needs to stop identifying as libertarian. He is not a libertarian. He has defended the state in like every case of police brutality we've seen. He defends the state. No libertarian does that. And no libertarian ever gives the benefit of the doubt to the state. At that point, you're not. And like, you saw these conservatives caping for him and everything. It's why I'm like, I'm never going to run anytime soon for any sort of position in Cali, because I'm just not, I would not be popular here at all. It would take a while of shift. There would need to be a cultural shift. I was at the Harris County Courthouse in 2017. It has screening levels close to the TSA. Yeah. Cali, all government buildings, no matter how, like, even like the DMV, they're like thorough. They got guards everywhere and shit. The state doesn't fuck around. When it comes to their security, they don't fuck around. When it comes to other people's security, then they can, they can be lazy fucks. It's when it's your security, they're lazy fucks. When it's their security, they are fucking on point.
That's like a 1990s Christian conservative argument.
Yeah.
The first-person shooter games are one of the major contributing factors.
Well, I think yes, I agree.
I think the source
That was the 90s Republican talking point. They were like, no, what? It's because that really was. I remember, I think it was, I had this conversation once. It was with one of these like retarded Vosh fans. And he got like super fucking offended at me because he was talking about banning Ben Shapiro's fucking movies because he was saying they would probably cause violence. And I was like, hi, you're a 90s Republican. And he got like super fucking offended because I called him a 90s Republican. The fact that I would infer he's even remotely close to anyone on the right, but I was like, but that's literally what they were trying to do in the 90s. With the like, he was too young to remember that. And I was like, yeah, they did that with Doom. They tried it with Beavis and Butthead. They tried it with Night Trap. They were trying to ban all this shit because they were saying it will cause this to happen. So I was like, yeah, you're exactly the same. You're saying the shit he's showing in his movies is going to cause violence. Bitch, you're the same thing. You're the same fucking thing. You got no evidence that link those two. You're saying it purely on emotion and fear, basically. But he was so like outraged because I called him a Republican, and I was like, but you are though. I was like, you're too young to remember when you're probably too young to remember when the Republicans were like the hardcore moral authoritarians. Fascism for me, not for thee. Yeah. Yep, that's basically how the state operates. That's how both political sides operate too, a lot of the time. You'll see the right be perfectly fine with some fascistic style policy if it benefits them, just as the left will be okay with fascistic policy if it benefits them. Because no one on the right seemed to have a problem with DeSantis targeting Disney for opposing his bill. Even though I was like, that sounds like state overreach, because Disney just said they're going to oppose it and do whatever they can to like oppose it. They didn't say we're going to use illegal methods or do anything illegal or anything. And then fucking they were just like, oh no, this is fine now. We're totally okay with going after companies we don't like. Oh no, Disney had free jurisdiction. I remember the right was pushing that talking point against Disney, saying they're so free to do whatever they want. They can build a nuclear power plant. Aren't you the proponents of nuclear power? So isn't that good? And free enterprise? So isn't that good? Isn't that exactly what you want to happen anyway? I don't know why that would upset you. But I'm like, yo, you're all the ones who want to who want to take part. Y'all the ones who won't boycott fucking things you don't like. I think fascism is for lazy people, to be honest. A lot of time, whenever you see the state overreach of power coming from left or right, it usually comes out of laziness. They're too lazy to actually like formally protest something, so they're just like, I'm just gonna make the state force other people to do it.
The media alone, everything is shock factor, everything, and I get it. We all get it. Everyone's trying to make some money, but I think it's gone
Unfortunately, people don't understand that, and that's why the media makes so much money.
a little too far. I think everything's about violence. Everything's about it's the most negative like emotion you can pull out of somebody, and I think that's honestly the source. Is not taking away the guns. Is looking at why are kids doing this in general. It's not because guns exist.
Well, it seems like he know, at least he knows the media is entertainment and sensationalism is there for the money. That's why even though it's proven that you shouldn't say the names of mass shooters or show their face, which I try not to do. Sometimes in the article I accidentally do it, but I always don't read their names, even though it's shown that that's actually effective to not bring up their names or faces. The mainstream media always does it and always tries to emphasize their name and face because they don't care that actually not saying the name is helpful. They want that money, so they're going to do it. Because this is just, media is just entertainment. It's not for anybody.
People are not running each other over just because cars exist. People like to drive in lines. Why are they driving in lines with cars and not shooting in line with the guns? I guess you could say.
You bring up an interesting point, actually, and I don't know how much we're going to be hearing that today. But the media talking about it, they highlight the individual's face, their first name, their last name, and it's the most famous person in the United
that's
States
what I
for
said.
about a week or two.
Yeah.
Is that encouraging people that have mental health issues, serious violent, issues? Is it encouraging them to want to be that next person? I think most people would guess probably.
I think so. Maybe maybe it's not the main thing, but I think it's probably a huge thing. I mean, that's the whole point. As a lot of these kids are doing it for attention, and whether or not attention is good or bad, we know that from personal experience. It doesn't matter. People like attention, and especially kids that are hurt, going through something. It's a new generation. Everyone hurts in different ways. They're gonna lash out in a bunch of different ways. And the way they're getting attention right now is not the way to do it.
And then I do have to touch one.
It's one of those things where I got what he said, but the way he said it made no fucking sense. Fucking weird. Okay.
Thank you, guys. We're talking about you're talking about the first thing, ban semi-auto rifles.
Yes.
Does that come before the other things that we're talking about? Armed security, like they have in Israel.
Has to be done. But
is banning AR-15s? Is that at the top of that?
oh, absolutely.
So why?
Who needs an assault?
So if you ban the AR, I said if you ban an AR-15, I'm just gonna get an AK. Right? If you ban the AK, I'm just gonna get XM15. You ban that, I just could get Bushmaster, right? I can, because essentially that's what they always say is ban the AR-15. I can just go get a ton of other guns that are functionally identical. Because really, when it comes down to it, it's basically all semi-automatic rifles. They just don't want to. They just don't want to say it. It's like one of the, some will say it. But these are people who watch the media. The media also said, remember CNN saying fully semi-automatic? If you remember when CNN said that shit, or the time they showed what an AR-15 would do to a watermelon, and the dude was holding a shotgun. I'm like, CNN knows their audience. They know they don't know shit. Catapults will be banned, and then next you're going to tell me trebuchets are going to be banned. I need to launch boulder. What I would like to see that actually. Someone show up at a school with a big ass trebuchet, just loading boulders into it, hurling it at the school. That shit would be funny. Some slingshots are actually banned in Cali. I know they're the ones that have shoulder support, slingshots that have shoulder support are actually banned in Cali. It's fucking stupid. I want to see what a mass catapulting would look like. Either a trebuchet or a catapult loading rocks into it. No. The trebuchet is the one that fires giant bolts, right? I always get them mixed up. Fuck. I can't remember. No. The giant bolts is ballistas. That actually sounds... I would want to build my own ballista, but I'm pretty sure in Cali that wouldn't be okay either because we can't fucking do anything in Cali. We can't do anything fun.
Do you live in
We do not live in the Western days. We do not live in Jerusalem where we're having
fighting all the time?
No.
Right.
We don't live
Wait, live in what?
there. We live in a free country.
United States, baby.
There's all sorts of ways people can kill. It's not a...
Yeah, we live in a free country, so we can have our guns. Weird.
About what you use. It's not the medium. It's the mentality. It's if you have evil, regardless, you're gonna have evil. But wouldn't you much rather have a few angels, a few good souls within the crowd that might have the ability to protect not only themselves but those around them? You know, to stop a catastrophe, to stop a mass shooting.
None of you guys
Well,
brought
that
up
sounds like hippie
banning
talk.
guns. There's calls to ban certain guns, whatnot. None of you guys brought that up. Do you think that just wouldn't solve the actual problem? What do you think? Or at least reduce the problem?
I don't think it would solve that problem. I mean, like, you can get a weapon anywhere, like in so many different ways.
I mean, the point of the Second Amendment is obviously your right to self-preservation and to resist the possibility of tyrannical rule. Is that not important anymore?
See, this argument is dumb because look, this argument doesn't work on people who are responding to school shootings. This is a really stupid argument going, what about a tyrannical government? Look, because look. In their world, that possibility of a tyrannical government, it doesn't exist for them. Right? They don't even see that as a possibility. So that argument's not going to even land with them. Okay? I understand, smarter people understand what could happen when the state gets out of hand, using their soldiers to kill American citizens who didn't do anything wrong. The problem is these shitlibs live in safe neighborhoods where there's not a lot of crime, so they understand. And like I said, the state actually, because you're in some of these neighborhoods and you call the police, they're there in a second. All right. So they don't, that possibility of mass government overreach and tyranny, that's not even a reality for them. So you don't even bring it up. Right? People who've been through shit that involves like the state in terms of, things like imprisonment, they can see where the state can get absolutely abusive and tyrannical and go, maybe I want my guns. But they can't have them, unfortunately, because for some reason felons can't have guns. But yeah, this is a dumb. Conservatives, stop bringing up the tyrannical government argument. It doesn't sway anybody. Also, by the way, a lot of the ones who do bring up constantly, who always talk about tyrannical government, y'all ain't gonna do shit. So shut up. The 2A argument against tyranny is dumb. I agree with you. Normies need something they can relate to. Yeah, exactly. I never go to the tyrannical government argument. I know the government could go that way. I'm not saying that it can't in any way, shape, or form. I understand that that's there. But for these people, yeah, they don't know that. Right? These people who, like, you need to understand, like, you try to understand where they are. It's not even a thought in their head. And so if you say it, they're just like, what about the people who are dying from the shootings? That's real to them. That's what they care about. They're going, people are dying in the streets, or kids are dying in schools. I don't care about a tyrannical government because the government's, in their eyes, the government's not going around killing people, American citizens. They are, but in their world, it's not really a thing. So I'm like, I don't think we would have to get way closer to an actual conflict within the country before that even became a reality for these guys.
Going to happen here, but
why would that not happen?
Well, I think there's too many weapons. We have 400 million weapons with 300 and something million people, so that's an excess of guns.
Well, I'd much rather have one of these civilians out here, that's trained, that has good intentions, that has their firearm concealed, and if I were to have mine, God, I hope that I would never have to use it. But in the worst case scenario, it comes a day where I'd rather have it and not ever need it than need it and not have it.
I definitely support it. I mean, I understand why people are scared. I'm scared with other people, being the leader of my kids as well, just in general. But at the end of the day, if you're scared for your teacher to have a gun, thinking that he might go buck wild with it, you might not want that teacher even teaching your kid in the first place. You shouldn't be.
That's true. You should get your kid out of public schools. The public schools are absolute garbage. I would not trust my kid with public school. Try and go to a charter school if you can, but it's fucking
Sending your
hard.
kid to that school
It's hard to
anyways.
get kids in
There's
charter
definitely
schools.
teachers that now if you do that, yes, you need to make becoming a teacher a harder thing to do for sure.
Well, I think it's not, because a lot of people, it's not so much that it's mandatory. It's that if there's a teacher that wants to pursue, doing that, they go through those necessary steps to be able to do that. You mentioned there's 400 million guns in the country. We're saying a top thing is to ban AR-15s. There's tens of millions of semi-automatic rifles. How would you recommend that they would go about that?
I don't know. They have to get people to turn them in, but then that's a different story in itself.
You're not going to be able to.
No, it's not. Because many of these people saying you're not taking my guns. The second an officer shows up and says hand it over, they'll go, okay. To be fair, that absolutely sending officers to go around to confiscate people's guns, like these loudmouths on the right, a lot of them will do it. If that were to happen, a lot of them would do it. They would not shoot at police. I guarantee you, a lot of these loudmouths would turn over their guns first. The second the state said give it. So to be fair, it's not unreasonable to say the state can go around and take them.
To do it completely. That's obvious, but they can work at it. Say that again.
I think
We're focusing on the semi-auto rifles. Why that? If can they not do it with another weapon? Is my question. They can.
Well, they
can
could, but
to a
a
certain
handgun,
point.
you're limited. I think you're limited. AR-15 is like.
Wait, you're limited to a handgun in what regard? It depends. That's situational. If you're in close quarters, a handgun would be way more effective than a rifle. But I don't think this dude knows that. A buyback may work for about 10% of all weapons in civilian hands. Maybe. I just meant if the state actually went and sent police to people's houses, door to door, going, hand it over. I think many of the people who said, come and take it, will go, okay. Because a lot of the loudmouths who say, well, I'm going to do shit, they're not going to do shit. The people who mean it when they say, yo, just leave me alone, are the ones who are not out here in the street screaming, come and take it. They're the guys who are just like, yo, no, thank you. It's the same like the dudes who know martial arts and know who can fight and who could really hurt somebody. They're not the ones going around trying to start a fight at the bar. It's usually the dude who has no clue what he's doing, who just wants to throw hands. That's the guy who gets his ass whooped, who realizes he doesn't know what he's doing. The guy who knows what he's doing is like, leave me alone. I don't want to deal with it. That's why I'm saying these people, all these people on the right who are like, I'm prepared to fight. Sure you are, buddy. Sure you are. Everyone who screams that are the people who back down first. Because the buyback would get like, you say buyback would get 10%, but if they start sending people out, that's when that's when we're going to see who are the real ones and who are the shit talkers. And I guarantee you, we're gonna learn there are a lot of shit talkers in this country. But then again, a lot of the people who are just the shit talkers, that's why they have their guns, because they're shit talkers. I'm sorry. I got into that with someone earlier, so I'm still like, nah. As far as I'm concerned, you're still gonna be a she-her to me. Because you clearly have your gun because you're physically inadequate. There are 10 people who really mean come and take it. The rest will capitulate easy since they worship police. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The people who are like really mean it when they say come and take it, they're not the ones out there screaming their head off about how they're ready for the next civil war. They're all prepped. They're ready to go. Trump just has to say the word and we'll do... I'm like, those people, I'm like, shut up. As soon as the police said, you can't bring your guns to the Capitol, none of y'all brought your guns to the Capitol. Because you're like, that's illegal. And you went, okay. I'm like, but y'all were complaining that that's unconstitutional because of your right to keep and bear arms. The state just said, not here. And you went, okay. yeah, you ain't gonna do shit when the state shows up. I wish I would like to see someone try. Because you guys aren't doing stuff. The libertarian who's like got his fucking farm armed to the teeth, just minding his business, he might take shots at you if you tried. But he's not the one bugging anybody or running his mouth. He's just living his life. I think it's because a lot of these conservatives live in rural areas where they don't seem to have they don't gain a lot of good when you're in a really, really, really rural area, their interpersonal skills seem to be lacking compared to people who live in like cities and you're constantly interacting with people. Maybe that's why they seem to feel safe running their mouth as long as they like to point out they have their gun. I don't know how you learn out there how to deal with things like men, but men don't point to their gun when two men are running their mouth. That's not what men do. I guess some of y'all out there are raised like women.
Like a mass killing machine.
But they have to start with the worst first. The most dangerous first.
But wait. One, all guns are killing machines. That's literally what they're built for. And two, the AR-15 is not the main contender for mass shootings. You would want to go for mostly handguns first if that was the case. You wouldn't be going for the ARs. But a lot of the times it's because, honestly, I do blame media to an extent too. Because a lot of these people think there is some of the reason why like automatic weapons are banned. A lot of people think automatic weapons would be good in a mass shooting. They think having an automatic, it would be like no Russian for Modern Warfare 2, when in reality, there's no way it would work that way. They'd show up with 100 rounds, hold the trigger, keep the gun completely steady somehow, be able to fire 100 rounds without melting your barrel. Because like I said, a lot of these people consume a lot of media with firearms, and how media portray firearms is not accurate to how firearms actually work.
We're jumping around a little bit, but AR-15s, I mean, they're used in 2.5% of homicides in the United States when it comes to homicides with a gun.
For mass shootings, and then you're getting into an AR-15.
Pistols are the majority of mass shootings as well, though.
I think for the amount of people killed in one incident, that's where you get the AR-15 style weapons. So,
wait, in one incident, but more people get killed in the handgun mass shootings. What?
If we were to remove those, you think that it would reduce the amount of people that are killed in those big instances? They are a minority, but in those specific cases, you think that would just reduce those, and that's it.
That's a killing machine, is what that is. An AR-15 is.
All guns are killing machines. That's literally what they're for. That's not a talking point unless you're going for banning all guns on the basis they're killing machines. That's literally what they're made for. Cities have fake communication skills. The white conservatives worship America and its symbols, flags, and guns. Their religion is Americanism. That's not true. No, I found people have way better interpersonal communication skills when you have to interact with a lot of people. Sure, some people can fake it, but I've seen some of these people who are like, if shit were to go down, right? And you said the city, like they've said, okay, say shit collapses, right? The right sitting there like, I have guns and like say they have a farm, and they'll be like, I'd like to see him come and try and do this. Bitch, what? Because there's going to be people with way more guns who are going to show up. And then what do you have? All you got is your mouth left. All you have left is your mouthpiece. You're not going to win that situation. You need to know how to talk your way out of situations. They seem to very act like they're just always ready to go. I'm ready to go to violence. It's like, yo, you need to learn how to de-escalate with your mouth, but a lot of you just like to seem to run your mouth, and you don't know how to de-escalate with your mouth. And that's when you try to let people know you have a gun. And that's some bitch shit. It's funny. I was bringing this up in a conversation with someone. I was like, white rural conservatives are just as elitist and snobby as rich white liberals. They're both snobby in their own ways. Because the stupid, like, okay, you'll get those like retarded neoliberal educated types. You know the ones I'm talking about. The ones that say female penis and shit like that. That do think they're smarter than everybody else while advocating for policies that are retarded. Then you have the same, right? Then you have those same white conservative types that are just as elitist that look down on the city types because they go, you would have no clue what to do if any kind of shit went down. Well, both of you would be in trouble if shit went down. That's just it. Because at least people from the city, not just saying the rich white liberals, but the people from the city, a lot of them tend, if depending on where you grew up, I will say this, it is very dependent on where you grew up in the city. If you grew up in an area where there was violence, you tend to going to be able to be good at talking your way out of a situation and de-escalating. I've seen these people on the right who say, if shit goes down, we're safe. And I'm like, bitch, if shit goes down, people from the cities are going to take your shit. The rich white liberals aren't going to come take your shit, but other people from the city are going to come take your shit. You're one guy with a gun. You ain't going to do shit. When the bigger groups show up, you are fucked. And since you guys seem to be, your logic seems to be jump to violence in a situation where you can't win, it's not going to end well for you. It's sort of like when people run through the Civil War scenarios and go, oh, the right's got all the guns and all the people who are willing to fight. Bitch, you control no means of communication. You control no institutions. You don't even control the state. What the fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do if shit pops off? You got nothing. You got your bunkers and you got yourselves, you small knit communities out there. But as far as a fight goes, you got nothing. The left got way more shit. It's not a matter of brute force. That's not how you win everything. You can't brute force your way through everything. Because I'm like, well, what if the left controls the government? They got the corporations. They got the social institutions. They got all this shit. If shit were to pop off to violence, what the fuck are you going to do? You can respond, but you're very limited in what resources you have. You're not as... All I hear that the right says is we have is guns and people willing to fight. Okay. Brute force doesn't win you everything. The left might have a lot of idiots, but at least their thought leaders are pretty actually smart and manipulative people. They're very manipulative, I should. Like the low tier left people, they're pretty dumb, but their thought leaders, they know how to mobilize those idiots. Antifa is very good at this too. They know how to mobilize idiots. The right doesn't know how to mobilize idiots. White conservatives hate city dwellers when they fail to remember that the suburbs are artificial creations of the state. City dwellers will outnumber rural dwellers. They always say if it came down to a survival situation, and I'm like, if the survival situation came down, the gangs basically win. I don't know where these guys are getting that the city can't do shit. No, the gangs win. Essentially. You'll have like the hardcore prep libertarian communities. They'll be good. The gangs will be good. The religious communities will probably be good because they got a lot of guns and tight-knit communities as well. A lot of these lone wolf guys that sort of like have farms, they're fucked. unless they got a big group or a local militia going, they're basically fucked. I've seen the and you can tell who's going to do shit and who's not going to do shit. I was like, when BLM was popping off, you had those on the right going, I wish they would come down here. I wish they would try that here. I'm strapped. I'm like, bitch, you won't do anything, because anybody who says I'm willing to shoot another person if they show up out loud that eagerly has never been in that situation, has never had a gun pointed at them, or has pointed a gun at another person. Unless you've been in that situation, shut up. You don't know what you're going to do. I can't stand those people that go, if I was in this situation, I would be doing this. Have you been in that situation? No, then shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're going to do. You could freeze for all you know. There was a slogan on the right last year that people should leave the cities. Jack Posobiec tweets that as a talking point a lot. Why would you abandon the cities? I never got that strategy on the right. That's such a fucking dumb strategy. Oh, let the left have California. The 5th biggest economy in the world? You want to let the left have that? Why? What is the strategy there? Right? I'm like, there's nothing good in Cali produces. The majority of the food, like it's in terms of the output, California outproduces every state by a lot in terms of farmlands and crops. We're about like 33% of the US's food output. The next state, I think, is like 16 or 17. And then all the other states, you're basically irrelevant. It's like the first 3 states in terms of food production, which is mostly California, is like what matters. The rest of you, other states with farms everywhere, you're basically irrelevant. You don't produce enough. I don't understand why you would say it's strategically smart to give the left the 5th biggest economy in the world. That doesn't make sense to me. When you said the liberals were fleeing the cities because of bad policy, the right should have rushed the cities. Rush the cities and vote in your dudes. And now, congratulations, you now control the 5th biggest economy in the world and a lot of the social institutions y'all complain about all the time. So I don't get why strategically you thought that was a good idea, because the right are cowards and they encourage cowardice. I think I was saying this. Look, I was saying this, that I was like, why? I was like, I can't fuck with the right, because I was like, this is what has happened to you guys. Y'all become a group of loudmouth, weak men, bussy warriors, and trans people. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Because only the right would be like, I fled from the city, and I'm like, so you ran from the conflict and you're bragging about it? Sounds like you's a bitch. I'm sorry, I'll stay and do what I can in the city, because unlike you, I don't run from my home. Y'all might be bitches and run away from your problems. I don't play that. Right? I helped try to get Gavin Newsom recalled, right? I'll do what I can here. And I'll work on smaller scales in communities. I'll do what I can here. I'm not going to run away from my fucking home because some shit-lived, neo-lib trash wants to turn it into some fucking alphabet paradise or some stupid shit. So I'm like, congratulations, you're bragging that you're a fucking coward. You're literally bragging you ran from the conflict you said you wanted to have. So, sure, buddy, you're the tough guy.
We're talking about the AR-15s. Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Shooting, the sniper shooting.
No, 2 pistols. Largest school shooting in U.S. history. So we're talking about what you guys are talking about, except for the largest school shooting in history is with 2 pistols. Can your same argument not be used for pistols as well? I don't feel as though there's so much.
They know that, though. Why are you using it as an argument? They know that. You're basically giving it to them at that point.
Much of a consistent argument when it comes to the reasoning behind the rifles, because it could kind of be used for pistols too. Would you disagree?
Yeah.
Lately, you've noticed that most of these mass shootings, they occur in tactically planned areas where there's guaranteed to little gun
Sitting ducks.
Yeah, basically, it's almost as if the percentages are so high that there's not one person that's going to have a gun to protect the community, the area, and that's what's being targeted.
All right, everyone, that is
Yeah, gun-free zones. That's what I've been saying. I think what was it? Maj brought that up too. That the gun-free zones, fucking stupid. I'm like, yeah, if I was going to cause maximum damage, you would aim for a soft target. If that was the goal. Everyone knows that. Just like also everyone knows if you were going to cause as much damage as you could in a crowd, you would not spray. You would not spray a 30-round mag into a crowd. You would use semi-automatic. Because you're not going to hit shit spraying like a madman. It's not how that shit works. Where is it? Oh, God. I have that open still. Where was the other thing? Which one? I'll do that one tomorrow. Tomorrow I have time. I'm okay. I think I'm gonna wrap it up with that one. I have to get up early for training. I have a ton of fucking training to do tomorrow. So that was fun. Went way over what I initially wanted. I did have a couple more things, but I was like, I'll save it for tomorrow or Sunday. It's almost 1 a.m. Go to bed. Because I got to get my food. Oh, because you're on the East Coast. Okay. So it's only 10:42 here. I originally just wanted to do like an hour, but then there was a lot of things. I didn't think it was gonna take that long. I still had 2 more things, but I was like, I'll save it. I'll save it for another time, and then I'm gonna Central. Okay, Central time. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Then I'll get gaming into. I want to do that, but I'll figure it out. Or I'll just mix the two. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm still winging it with this thing. So, all right. Take it easy. Stay safe. Don't get shot. Because people be wilding out here. I'll see y'all soon.